ah, merong isang listener, whatever, senior niya sa kanyang channel siguro. Kaya maraming nakinig for whatever reason. Either si Rocky yun, ididimanda ako, or si Penelo, pinagtatawanan ako, or the Duterte follower that figures, what the hell is this guy talking about? You know, he doesn't know shit. Probably, we don't know. There's 100 number of reasons why it went viral that way. Anyway, so good evening, guys. Okay, ito, we're gonna talk about how Duterte's vilification of the US pivot to China failed. It started first, alamin natin yan, ito yung sinasabi ko, the diplomat, okay? Sa Great Hall of People in Beijing, nag-address si Duterte. Okay? Ang inaasahan nila is yung yung 30-minute niya, pitch about the pivot to China. They were expecting kind words about China. But instead, a 30-minute anti-American rant from Duterte, delving into the reasons he disliked the US, from his experiences with US immigration officials. Sinasabi rito na na-hold pala siya, papunta siya sa Brazil, somewhere for sometime 2002, whatever, sa isang conference, okay? Pero for whatever reason, Duterte is missing some documents, okay? And I understand, you know, anyone who's on a travel or on a mission, tapos i-detain ka ng US or even China or even any country para maano yung biyahe mo, nakakabisit. Not just him, you know, it's for anyone, anywhere, okay? So normal yun, hindi natin maano yan. But then, he became the president. So, halimbawa, kung ako maging presidente, and pwede kong magsalita tungkol sa experience ko, di ba? So, we can't blame him for his dislike sa US. Yan ang number one na lumalabas dito. But the deeper roots, according to one of the AFP brass na sinasabi, is the fact na mayroong isang iniimbestigahan sa Davao City na according to Duterte and according to the guy speaking for Duterte, is kinuha raw ng CIA, okay? At inilabas ng bansa sa halip na kausapin or maimbestigahan. We have heard stories, you know, even during the Marcos time that, you know, the CIA was in the Philippines. In fact, there were just 3 days ago, you know, I was reading a story given by a friend of mine where they're saying that the nuclear missiles or bombs were in the Philippines, you know, sometime in the 70s in preparation or in support of the Vietnam War. And I believe that because on one of my history class at what do you call this? Agana sa Guam, US Air Force Base, nag-aaral ako dyan sa University of Maryland, US History, yung isang professor na nakakatalo ko. Siyempre, mahina pa ako, hindi ko pa alam na yung mga pinagsasabi ko. He was lecturing me about the Vietnam War and all this and all that na hindi ko alam. You know, so I was surprised because coming from the Philippines, you know, ang alam ko lang yung kung ano yung nababasa ko. And here it is, 1990s, wala pa namang internet. He's telling me about Vietnam, and then he tells me, until you have your masters in US history or whatever, you don't tell me shit. So palpal ako. Anyway, so dito, Ed, mamaya naman yung magsasalita. Tapusin ko na lang muna to. So, what is really wrong with the American character? Sabi ni Duterte, okay? Kasi yung mga tinatag na Orientals. If you remember, nobody ever used the word Oriental any longer since maybe after the 80s. Okay? Wala na, matanda na lang nagsasalita ng mga Orientals eh. Nobody ever used the word Orientals anymore. Because Asia in itself in the 90s, okay? After the war, Vietnam War, wala na. It's called Asians. In fact, in the US, ang classification, Asian Islander or Asian Pacific Islanders. There's no such thing as Orientals. Lumang salita na yan eh. Okay? In high school, in elementary, naririnig natin yan. Pearl of the Orient. Bullshit yan. Wala na yung mga ganyan. Okay? So, alamin natin na in his view, yung talagang sa background niya, Dahil yun ang feeling niya yung tungkol sa South. Okay? Yung lola daw niya, ang tinuturo is how yung sa Mindanao, ganyan-ganyan, the Badyaho or yung Badyaw or whatever that is, yung 600 na pinatay ng mga Amerikano. Okay? Nabanggit yan kahapon sa space. Okay? Kaya nag-uusap kami ni John, pinag-uusapan yung bakit ganito, bakit ganyan. Okay? In one of the interviews ni Duterte kay Maria Ressa, inamin niya, I admit, I'm from the left. Okay? Alam naman natin sino ba yung mga left na yan, yung mga NPA, inamin naman niya yan, alam nating lahat. Aside from that, we know that Duterte is a yellow dahil nga dun sa pagkaka-appoint niya as officer in charge or something sa Davao during the, what do you call that? Yung kay Cory. Okay? But then again, his dad, iba naman ang background niyan. Is, from the Marcos government. So he's a mixture. Yan ang masasabi natin yan. But the fact of the matter is yung si Duterte at the time, sinasabi itong US troops ng ganyan-ganyan, yung orders of Major General Wood, ayan na yung mga unarmed women and children, ganyan-ganyan, sparking outcry, not just among the Moros, but even anti-imperialists in the United States. Diba? Nagagalit. Alam natin yan because it was a turbulent year, 1898 to 1901 sa Pilipinas. Okay? And there's a justifiable and a valid sentiment against the US. Okay? So, parang dati kang kinamkam or inapi ng mga Kastila, pagkatapos akala mo libre ka na. Okay? Yung pala merong mas bagong siga na ibinenta ka. Wala kang magawa. Pumunta ka pa sa Treaty of Paris. Ganyan-ganyan, nagpadala pa ng representante para magsalita sa anong tawag dito? Sa pagsasarindin. Kung ano man yung tawag sa pagsasarinlan ng Pilipinas, thinking that we will be an independent country on our own, realizing that the Americans at that time, ang siga, baliwala pala lahat yung mga ano. Anyway, okay? So yung si Yasay, ayan pala, nito yan, Perfecto Yasay, Foreign Secretary, okay? By holding on to invisible chains that reigned Manila. Okay? Alam mo, lagi nating naririnig yan eh. Even in high school, we have this guy that yung kakaibigan ko, I'm looking for a Filipino. Ha? Yung parang ano ni Carlos P. Romulo, I'm not sure who the writer is. It's called Brown Americanism. So, yung mga mahihilig sa mga drama, sa mga poetry, sa mga orations, mga ganyan. O Faustus, yung mga ganyan. Mahilig ako ganyan eh. So, tandang-tanda ko yan, yung Brown Americanism. I don't know the right title. Pero hinahanap daw niya yung Pilipino na para mang James Dean ang style, ang pananamit is Levi's, pagkatapos Pilipino ka. Anong klaseng katarantaduhan yun, di ba? Lumalaki ka, what is going on? Ha? Looking for a Filipino pero English. So, alam na natin na we are a mixture of Filipino-American culture way back in the 60s pa up to the 70s. Na bago na lang yan dahil nagkakaroon ng international community. But we all know, yung mga nakasing edad ko, I'm not sure about you younger guys, okay, is we have the Americanism. Okay? And we cannot deny that. Ang mga libro natin, karamihan, okay, even our examination booklets, McGraw-Hill, Pearson, ano pa yung isa? Tatlo yan eh. Tandang-tanda ko lahat yan, yung mga booklets na binibigay sa exams. Ano ba yung university na yan? Anyway, yung tatlong yan, McPherson, Hill, at saka yung isa pa, Purdue language test. What the hell are we taking Purdue language test? We are in the Philippines, for Christ's sake. I was 16, I was 17, pero hindi ko naintindihan kung ano yung Purdue. What the hell is Purdue? Yung binibigay na exam sa atin. And then there's a McGraw-Pearson na mga exam booklets, yung for IQ, tinetesting tayo in preparation for college. Kaya nga mayroon tayong tinatawag na NCEE at the time. Afterwards, napalitan yan. So, yung lahat ng ginagawa ng Amerikano sa atin is it really the US fault for putting us into chains? Or is it the US or is it the Filipinos fault na tayo is nagpaano sa Amerikano? Tingnan natin. Si Marcos ba, every time that the US wanted something between 1966 and 1972, ibinibigay niya? Basahin natin ng ano. Ako hindi pa, ayan hindi pa ako nagka-college, hindi pa ako nagpupunta sa US, okay? But I know damn well, nung nag-research kami sa mga ganyan, Marcos is tit for tat or tinatawag na scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Kung may kailangan kayo, may kailangan din ako. Kaya nga, di ba, isa sa mga nakapag-push ng bill sa US na para bayaran ang mga Pilipinong veterano na namatay at nagkasakit at na-injured during the World War II na hindi pinansin ng mga Amerikano. Pero nakita nyo, late lang napakita sa mga internet yan at sa social media na ganyan ang ginawa niya. But if you're reading Marcos, like I did, during sa pagbabasa ko, isa na siya sa nagsabi na, hey, mga kano, huwag nyo kaming kalimutan, nangako kayo, USAFFE, na aasikasuhin nyo kami, ibigay nyo mga benepisyo. Dahil military siya eh. Kaya alam yan. Anyway, so, eto na ngayon yung term little brown brothers. Ayan. Nasabi lagi yan. Nakikita natin yan sa mga libro when we were growing up. Lalo na nung nagbabasa ako ng free press during the martial law years, yung Bulletin Today, Taliba, Filipino Express, Daily Express, Manila Chronicle, Manila Times. Kasi yung dyaryo at the time, buwat-buwat mo yan. Tapos pag umulan, gigilid ka, babasa-basa ka muna. At saka pag pauwi ka na, may natira ka, kung ano yung natira, binabasa mo yung news. Doon nahasa ang isip ko, doon ako naging ganito pala itong mga balita. Anyway, so, yung term na Little Brown Brothers, ginagamit yan ng kung sino-sino, but it's passé. Alam natin niya, 1990s, after Marcos was kicked out of the Philippines, taken by force to Hawaii, Filipinos have decided, utangin na pala ng Amerikano naikialam dito di ba? Kaya wala na tayo. Tayong pakialam. So, anyone, for that matter, na gumagamit pa ng, kasi ganitong Amerikano, ganyan ang Amerikano, kalokohan yun. Because we were able to do whatever the fuck we wanted to do. Di ba? Nakita mga si Ramos, number 1. West Point graduate. Paano siya nakapag-aral sa West Point? Yan ang tanongin natin. Di ba? Kasi nga, ang Pilipinas, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, after the liberation, after the independence, lahat ng natin dyan pinattern sa US. Kaya lahat ng mga officers natin nakapag-aral sa US. Hindi naman lahat. Most of the high-ranking officers, they go to Army College, Naval War College, Naval Postgraduate College. Yung mga officers na yan, pupunta dyan sa Monterey, Connecticut, sa Maryland, or whatever, kung saan sila papadala ng armed forces. So, yung mga Joint Chief Staff ng Presidente, ni Presidente Duterte, lahat yung mga yan, during the time na sinabi niya noong 2020, to abrogate the Visiting Forces Agreement. Okay? Kasi maganda naman yung mga plano niya Kaya, we're tired of the US. Bumunta ako dyan, hindi nga ako inasikaso. Delay lang yung travel ko I'd rather go back kung meron lang flight right away sa Pilipinas. Hindi nangyari. Okay, so yan ang yan. So, pivot to China tayo. Walang kwenta mga Amerikano. Okay, and one of those, yung niya na Balaging Bells because of his political will. Kaya hinangaan ng tao. There's no doubt in my mind. We supported him because he knew what he was doing and he was able to do those things, including drug war. Di ba? Sabi nga nung nagsalita kahapon sa space, he wasn't telling people to kill. He was telling people na ang drug war ay nandyan at gawin yung sa tama. At ibabakapan ko kayo kapag ginawa nyo ang tama because it's in defense of the country. Kasi nga there's a epidemic. Di ba? Yan ang katwiran niya. So, sa isang lawyer na maingat sa mga salita, iba yung rhetorics iba yung utos. So, he knows what he's doing. Kaya nga hindi siya mapuprove ng kahit na dahil yung mga gumawa, yung mga tinatawag na mga ah, riding in tandem. Ano pa ba yung iba? Yung mga ninja cops. We all know it happens. We all know, na it is an incident that goes nationwide. But we can't blame the system because yung mga naikinig, sinasamantala nila dahil may utos. Kumbaga sa no, isabay natin to para hindi halatado. Diba? And we know that, kaya nga kita mo, pagka nanlaban, uso yan, okay? AJK, ibiniblame sa kanya. Because he's the president. That's why he's ready to stand up for what he did and for what he was doing. And along with that, naisip niya, hey, might as well abrogate the visiting forces agreement. Diba? Sabi nga niya, tigil yan. Walang balikatan. Walang ganito. Sagot ni Donald Trump, who cares? Okay, go. It's not like it's gonna cost us anything. You don't like it? Fine. Yan ang mga presidente. Di ba? Ayaw nyo? Wag nyo. O, si Duterte, ayaw namin. Bahala ka sa buyan nyo. But then, he has his advisors. He has his armed forces of the Philippines. He has his Department of National Defense. He has his National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. He has all these people surrounding him, advising him of the ill will, you know, of what's going on and what is the historical relationship between the US and the Philippines and between China. That there's really no reason to pick either side. It's a matter of just do your thing, your Philippine president. You don't have to condemn the US. You don't have to switch sides. He just continue whatever. But he did a favor to China. Okay? And we agreed. We supported him. But what happened afterwards, sasabihin ng isa dyan, hindi raw failed. It failed. Kasi kung natuloy yan, ang armed forces natin, hindi mga US military, ang tawag dyan, parts ang ginagamit ngayon. At hindi tayo nag-agree na bumili pa ng kung ano-ano man during the 30 time na ngayon lang dinideliver. Hindi naman yan in-order lang kahapon, dumating na. In-order yan during his time. So he agreed and he supported the idea na, well, maybe you guys are right. All right, let's suspend the suspension of the VFA. Diba? Kasi hindi nag-work eh. So, ganyan ang nangyari. Kung baka sa fuck this. Ayan ng mga bata ko. And saka nagka-COVID pa. And maybe, I don't know what made him realize that he needs to suspend the suspension and let it go. And pivot back to the US and to the world na mali pala tayong bansa. Hindi pala natin kayang maging siga. Hindi natin ang nangyari dyan sa Russia. Those armed forces people knew, gagamitin natin itong panibago sa Russia, panibagong ammunitions, panibagong training, panibagong familiarization, same thing with China. So we are back to square one if we continue doing this. Okay, and that's my opinion, okay? Hindi ko sinasabing facts yan. That's why I said it's my personal take. Okay, mabuti na yung malinaw tayo, ha? Okay, sinuportahan natin yan. Alam ng mga kasama on DDS yan. Alright, America did nothing. Okay, yan ang banat ni Duterte. And now that it is completed, they want to patrol the area. For what is America going to finish the world? Tama naman. Even Americans dito sa US, okay? Ako, hindi ako nagre-reklamo because, I support kung sino man ang presidente, who cares? I never did care. Dahil tumatakbo eh. Ang mahalaga sa akin, after 25 years, being in the military is I get my pension. I get my disability compensation. I get my social security. I get my investment kung ano man. Diba? Yun ang mahalaga sa akin eh. So, until such time na sinasabi nila na si Biden is masama dahil may anak na masama, dahil may drugistang anak at kung ano pang nangyayari, I let the US take care of its own. Okay? But as far as I'm concerned, hindi ko sila masyado iniintindi, bahala sila. Yung sinasabing billions na pupunta sa Ukraine, ano magagawa ko? Okay? Yan ang gusto ng mga Amerikano. Nakikitira lang ako rito. I'm actually an OFW overseas Filipino worker na naging citizen, tapos bumalik sa Pilipinas. For 4 years and a half, I was there. Okay? I maintain residence. I still have private properties. Pilipinas. Okay? Meron ng kumpanya pero pinasara ko na. Malit lang yung retail lang para doon sa gago kong kapatid para may ginagawa. Okay? Pero kahit anong gawin mo, binigyan ko ng rent-a-car. Para ano, wala. Waldas, pinag-grab ko. Hindi nag-iintrega, 5 araw. Pinaggagasolina ko lang. Walang nangyayari. Anyway, back to the US. So, yun ang nangyayari. So, Duterte, meron siyang bigger beef with Obama administration. Okay? Yung sa sinasabi nung kung ano man yan. Kasi naman ikaw ba naman, si Duterte ka, magsalita ka ng, he also would have wanted to rape a beautiful Australian missionary who was sexually assaulted and murdered in a 1989 prison riot in Davao City. Okay? So, mahirap talaga, no? Yung controversial na mga salita ni Duterte. Pag sa sarili mong city, on your own turf, everyone will support you because you are doing everything that is good for your city. But from the outsider's view, stupid ka. Gusto mong rapin yung ano. Kasi yun ang ano on the Davao City, naintindihan nila kung ano yung mga salita. Kumbaga sa ano yung ano, ako katulad ko, pag may mga tropa ko, kami nagkasalitang Navy, usapan kami, babae na pinag-usapan, Chief, order na ba kita? Tatawanan na yan. Oh, hindi ba kala nila order babae? Oh, ang orderan yung pagkain, i-deliver na sa kwarto. Pero pag nagtawa na, iba na ang iba-iba ang ibig sabihin niyan dahil ganoon ang mga hepe. Lokohan eh. Okay? Anyway, so yung kay Duterte, nagalit siya dahil yung kampanya niya, parang tinitira nito si Goldberg. Yan Marami siyang dahilan, no? Tsaka yung homophobic slur against sa Goldberg, okay? Na pinapakalaman yung Philippine elections, ganyan. So siya, frustrated siya sa mga kung anong nangyari. And as the president, he has, okay, the responsibility to believe that what he is doing is for the country and people supported that. Kaya nga tinawag na the populist president. He wasn't going the conventional way of winning the support of the people. He's just doing it, swinging it by himself, believing on his own tactics and strategies. And it worked. Nakita nga natin. Binoto siya ng taong bayan. Because the Filipinos believe something new. Some kind of leadership is needed to go to the right path. Okay? Kaya, yung mga nagsasabi dyan na anti-Duterte ko, yung siraulong Mindanao Republic at saka si Aryang Tanga, okay? I wasn't anti-Duterte. Kayo ang mga, ewan ko sa inyo anong nangyari sa inyo. But the fact of the matter is ito, sa mundo sa United States at sa kung saan-saan pa, nagkaroon ng backlash kay Duterte because they couldn't understand the man. They wouldn't understand his preposition. They wouldn't understand his own views because of his personal experience. Imagine, city mayor ka. You are pampered. You are supported. You are treated like a king in Davao City. And you travel to America. And here you are, you're just nobody. Delayed ka pa dahil wala kang mga papeles na tama, hindi mo maipaliwanag, and sanay ka na pag kami sinabi ka, it's gotta be done, and then suddenly you're on your own sa US immigrations, dyan sa Los Angeles, patay. Kaya yung frustrations niya, alright? So, nasa na tayo? Okay? Yung recalibration niya, yung rhetorics niya, separation comment, ganyan-ganyan, kaya yung mga age na mismo, they are not certain how Duterte's view of the US might evolve through the course of his single 6-year term. Kasi marami siyang sinasabi, red gold, pag hindi nakala, ganito na lang. Are those rhetorics o style niya yung sinatawag na nilang nagtatampisaw muna, titingnan kung ano ang tubig, ano ang daloy, ano ang current. At pag maganda, dire-diretso na. At pag hindi, aatras. So he can backtrack because he gives himself a chance to back off. Okay. Ito na tayo. And why did I say vilification? Kung titingnan mo, prior to Duterte's era, okay, ilang beses lang nagalit ang Pilipinas sa US noong 1986. And then during the time of the Scarborough, okay, tingnan natin kung paano nangyari. Okay, sabi nga ni Edward, minura niya ang US. Kasi nagsabi ng ganito sa Pilipinas, hindi nangyari. Nang sabi, tutulungan, hindi nangyari. Okay? Ngayon, sino yung mga nag-interpret na ganyan? Sino ba si Obama? Okay? At ano ba ang talagang protocol? Okay? Na pag sinabing yung Mutual Defense Treaty, what exactly will happen when it happens? Ano ba ang mangyayari kapag may nangyari? Ano ba hinihintay na pangyayari? Okay? Yung bang nangyari sa Scarborough Shoal, number one, do we have a contested water? Meron pa bang contest dyan? Meron pa bang nag-aapila? Until such time na atin na talaga or wala na? Yan ang mga number one question eh. Kasi kung atin na yan, bakit meron pang ibang forces na nag-aangkin? So kung atin yan, siguro naman itong mga stupid Americans na to na sinasabi nga nila, they should be able to come up with a solution wherein, hey, you're in violation of the Philippine independence or sovereignty. Tirahin ka na namin, Congress, baka na natin to, agree or disagree? Eh wala eh, kasi wala pang outright. Okay? Sa akin in my own view, dahil nga yan, lahat ng dyan sa West Philippine Sea, sabi nga ni Dean Bocobo, dapat yan, tanggalin na yung mga ganyan-ganyang pag-aari ng ganito, dahil hindi naman natin alam yan, nasa tubig yan, nasa gitna ng dagat yan, wala namang may-ari yan, hindi naman Pilipino, hindi naman China, tanggalin na lahat yan para lahat libreng mangisda. Ha? May tama rin. Para lahat pwedeng mangisda. Para walang talo-talo. But in the world of hegemons, yan, merong US, merong China. It's not gonna happen. Somebody is not willing to give. Somebody is gonna be the siga. Kahit nasaan yan eh. Ako alam ko yan because I'm a short man. Okay, ang lalaki ng mga aklase ko. Yung isa naging best friend ko na sa PNP. Yan yung kinikwento ko na. Pare, ano ba talaga ibig sabihin ng tokang ng PNP? Pare, ano yan? It's a program awareness. Kaya nga ako yung iba nagugulat eh. Ba't ko pinagtatanggol eh? Because I need to know why Duterte is doing the tokhang. Why Bato is actually using tokhang. Okay? Ganti ang pare. Nagpupunta sila sa mga bahay-bahay. Papaliwanag nila na mayroong campaign, promotion ng awareness ng mga drug trade, drug business, ng mga drug addict sa mga barabarangay. Dahil yung iba hindi nalalaman. Tama naman. Dahil yung mga yan busy sa mga kung anong ginagawa. So the police has to maintain presence. Yun ang nirereklamo ng taong bayan. Kulang daw ang ratio ng mga police sa krimen o sa mga taong bayan. At hindi raw nagpapaliwanag. So ngayon nagpapaliwanag, nirereklamo nila. Bakit may tokhang? Kasi anong may tokhang? Nangangatok at nagpapaliwanag. Yun nga lang, pag nangangatok na, eksakto yung napasukan, may nagsusugal, may nagse-sex orgy maharlika may nagse-sex orgy. Kaya nangangatok, nahuli, nagtatakbuhan. Okay? Mga nagda-drugs, doon nagkakaputukan. Ibang putukan yan, maharlo ka, hindi yan sex orgy. Orgy ng mga drug addict. Diyan sa kung saan-saan. Sa buong Pilipinas, sa mga lugar-lugar, mga barabarangay, meron. Okay, para maliwanag that is tokhang and I supported that. At pinaliwanag ko yan sa FB live ko. Nasuspindi nga ako kasi kung ano mga pinagsasabi ko dyan Maraming nag-report sa akin. Anyway, so yan yung yung vilification of the US. Tapos yung sinabi nila na yung Balanginga Belt, tama naman siya. But at the same time, coming from the military world, at pinag-aralan mo bakit ang mga Amerikano at the time, sila rin naman ay may mga kapatid, kamag-anak, kasama, infantry people, batalyon na napatay. Kaya sa kanilang pag-iisip, sila rin ay may karapatan na makuha ang Balaginga Bells. Okay? Titingnan natin we cannot only look upon ourselves, we also have to step on their shoes and feel what they feel as Americans. The way Americans felt when they decided to return. Naisip din nila, bandang huli, Patay na yung mga lolo natin eh. Ano bang kinalaman natin dito? Kay stupidohan na to, na nandito pa rin. What are we trying to remember? Why are we just keeping this when they feel that they own this? Ha? Tingnan natin yung both sides. It couldn't be that we're just looking at our own selves. Yan ang mali sa atin. Yung kasi ano eh, ganito eh. So yung mga stupido, mga gago, ako na magsasabi sa inyo karapatan nyo yan. Dahil yan ang nararamdaman nyo. Dahil yan ang sinabi ni Duterte sa inyo na mali ang mga Amerikano. Pero yung mga Amerikano naman na bago, mga bata, mga apo na lang, ganun din. Sabi nila, mga stupido tayo. Bakit natin hindi isuli? Ano bang mawawala sa atin? We have had it for 100 fucking years. Why? Is it pride? Is it history? What kind of history do we gain out of that? We try to invade people. We try to tell them that we are shit hot. We are the Americans. Diba? So sabi ng mga apo, wala na yan. Diyos ko po, it's all in hand. What do we get? Do we even make money out of that? Do we have personal satisfaction? What kind of human beings are we? Holding on to something that is not even a reminder of how great this nation is. Let's give it back. Diba? Yan ang mga usapan. Pero dahil yung mga naikinig lang sa Pilipinas, ang iniisip lang palagi is ganito, ganyan. Tangina mga Amerikano yan. Wala nang ginawa. Kundi pumatay, pumatay, pumatay. Okay? Mag-aral kayo ng US history. Okay? Mag-aral kayo ng European history. Mag-aral kayo ng China history. Sino-sino ang mga pumatay? Sino-sino ang mga nag-angkin bago nyo sabihin na US lang? At yun nga sinasabi ko. Duterte is a good propagandist. He was able to convince people that the Mindanao massacre amounted to millions. Okay? 600 ang sinasabing napatay dyan. Ilan ang nagkapatayan nung panahon ng ang 7 million population at the time. Sasabihin nila na 1 million ang napatay. Okay? Tingnan natin Parang napaka-imposible. Alright. Ano pa yung isa? Bago tayo magbigay ng mic. Ito pala. Okay? Ito lang sample. Kinokondemn nila ang US dahil daw hindi naman daw tayo umasenso. At inayos lang nila ang Japan, ang Korea, at ang China. Pero ang Pilipinas, pinabayaan daw ng US. Okay, I'll tell you why. Sample lang Japanese. The Japanese prospered because they were humiliated. Okay? On their belief noong 1940s, that the Japanese people will rise to be the Japanese imperial power within Asia. Yan ang upbringing nila. Yung mga tinatawag na ninuno nila na tayo ang mamumuno. Okay, ganyan-ganyan. Kaya nga sinakop nila ang Russia, ang Korea, China. Okay, tapos buong Asia. Hindi nga lang sila nag-succeed. Okay, yan ang Japanese. Yung mga nag-aral ng Japanese history, pag-aralan natin maigi, bakit nila ginawa ang kanilang ginawa? Bakit nila sinakop ang Korea and then China? The Japanese expansionism. At bakit ang Koreans nag-prosper din? Okay? Tingnan natin maigi. Ang isang sample na ginagawa ng mga Koreans na hindi ginagawa ng mga Pilipino, ito. Tayo, bayanihan. But the Koreans, what they do in the business world is this. Pupunta sa alam mo, isa kang galing ka sa Pusan. Tong-tong. Okay. Ibig sabihin, putang ina. Yung kamag-anak ko nasa US. Ay kung mag-pull-in tayo, benta natin itong mga lupa natin or isang land natin, mamuhunan tayo, magtayo tayo ng laundry shop, laundromat, convenience stores. Tapos yung profit, hati-hati tayo pagdating dito. Usap-usap sila. Si Park, si Chong-hee, si Watusi, kung ano mga pangalan yan. Agree sila. Namili ng mga tindahan sa Korea. Pilipino ba gagawin yan? Hindi. Kanya-kanya tayo eh. Hindi tayo magbabakas-bakas. Okay? My sister has a laundromat. Her friend has a laundromat. Yung brother ko, ayaw makisosyo sa sarili niyang mundo. Okay? Diba? Ganyan ang buhay natin. Kanya-kanya tayo. What else? Indians. Pag ginaya natin ang India, anong ginawa nila? Ang baho-baho nila. Ang dumi-dumi nila. Ang sikip-sikip nila. Pero anong naisip nila sa mga anak nila? After sila is ma-dominate ng British Empire. Hutangin na nyo, babawi kami. Padadala namin ang mga anak namin sa Amerika at mag-aaral yan. At pagkatapos, sasakupin namin ang Silicon Valley, ang Google. Because they did what they have to do to survive and succeed. Ito naman tayo sa Pilipino. Okay? Katulad ko, parating ako sa US. Did I ever think, okay, of bringing my relatives? Wala eh. Nandito na. Did I ever think of bringing my friends? Wala naman, di ko naman kaya. Okay? But at least, yung mga kamag-anakan ko, pinag-aral ko sa college, ilan ang nakatapos. At yung mga anak nila, pinag-aaral ko pa yung iba ngayon. Because I thought of it as my individual social responsibility or family responsibility. But do Filipinos always have that mentality to support your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community? No. Because you're living the American dream of owning your own house, doing all this, so you forget yung sinasabi nilang bayanihan. Pero in some communities, dito sa US, yung mga Pilipino tulong-tulong. Makita mo yung bahay, 16 man nakatira sa 3-bedroom, sama-sama sila. Yun ang Pilipino, di ba? Talagang nagtutulungan bago natin, tapos kung sino-sino pa pupuntahin sa US para makarating. Okay? So we cannot blame the US if we were not able to take advantage like all the other countries did. So ang sisihin natin kung sa sakali, sino ba? Si Cory o si Ferdinand Marcos din siguro, the senior, di ba? Because he veered away from being a US puppet. He decided, I'm gonna do it on my own. Kaya nga, di ba? Sinipa siya ng mga kano. It's about time you go. Dami na naming CIA dyan, di ka namin masupil. Ginagawa mo pa rin yung gusto mo. Gusto mo, PhilCard, padadala mo, pero gusto mo, magbayad mo ng mga Amerikano. Di sa amin, pwede yan. Gusto mo ganito, gusto mo ganyan. Okay? So maraming requisitos, maraming requirements si President Ferdinand Marcos before he actually does what the US wants him to do. Kay Cory, nangako ng ganito, tatanggalin ko ang US ang mga ganyan-ganyan, ang mga NPA. Okay? At i-retain ko ang basis. Pagkatapos, wala na. Binaliktad niya. Si Ramos, ano na ang naging stance? Si Gloria, ano ang naging Iba-iba eh, kumaga sa So, let us not blame the Americans. Okay? Pero sino naman yung mga Pilipinong CEO? Binabanggit yan. Ang daming Pilipino CEO, CFO, COO, si Loren. Ha? Kapitbahay namin to. Utang niya, Chief Financial Officer. $1 million house. Ha? Napakaganda na, patalino pa. Chief Financial Officer. Di ko na inaalam kung anong opisina na, ingit lang ako natutuwa rin. Dahil biruin mo, probinsyana lang yun, from Batangas. Akalain mo, nakita ko na nung high school yun, matalino, maraming mapupuntahan. Yun na nga, matindi, multi-millionaire. So maraming Pilipinong ganyan. Okay, so we could not blame na ang US ang may kasalanan dahil yun ang naabot natin. If anything, we blame ourselves because we did not push each other out. So sino yung mga leaders natin? Yun ang i-blame nyo. Okay. Now, as far as Duterte is concerned, tama naman. Pivot to China. But at the time he has done that, COVID happened. And at the same time, the Chinese believe na tangina itong mga Pilipinong to eh. Binibigay na namin ng lahat, nagre-resist tulad ng army. Ito ayaw niyong gamitin. Binibigyan na nga namin kayo. Ang Russia nagbigay na ng 5,000 rifles with free ammunitions. Ayaw ng mga Pinocchio, ayaw ng mga Pinoy. Mas gusto nilang gamitin yung ano yung mga US made. Okay? I don't know why. Maya matanungin natin si Edward kung saan nanggagaling yung mga baril niya, kung anong brand. Then we'll see the difference as to why the pivot to China failed. You know? At sabi ng isa, hindi naman daw. Let's see. Okay, ito na. The floor is open. Ed, ikaw yung unang nagtaas kanina. So, bigyan natin yung mic kay Ed. Okay, good evening. Jack, Teklara, Ed, Bong, okay? Hans, asan ba si Hans? Wala na si Hans eh. Go ahead, Jack.
Chief, clarify ko lang yung sinasabi mo na inamin ni Duterte na leftist siya.
Yes,
ito ba yung nung time na after ng election o panibago pa ito?
before the elections 2000. Teka, may nagmamic na, may nag-ano naman echo. It was an interview with Maria Ressa 2015. So it is before the elections. He admitted that he is from the left.
Hindi ko nabalitaan yun kasi ang nabalitaan ko lang is yung sinabi ni Defensor Santiago na si Duterte nga daw was a candidate of the left.
But it's you can research that interview with Ressa.
Isa pang naalala ko is yung, kasi ang pinaka-naalala ko ng issue after ng election na sinabi niya na sosyalista siya. Yun na naalala ko, hinahanap ko yung video rito kung tinatanggal nila para hindi na mahanap eh. Anyway, yun na lang muna. Thank you.
Yeah, but he did admit that at saka alam naman natin na na how he treated the NPAs, kinakausap niya. And there's nothing wrong with being in the left. It's a matter of what you do as being leftist, as what you promote as being leftist. Because the leftist itself is just an ideology. Kaya nga sabi nga ni Panelo, it's an idea. But he bring arms against the Philippine government while he proclaimed himself as a leftist. That's why he even talked to his professor, Jose Maria Sison, di ba? Na nagkausap naman sila na ganito, ganyan. And being the mayor of Davao City, did he do anything leftist as the mayor himself? Yun ang mga question dyan. So far, pronouncing something and doing another are two different things. Yun ang sa akin. Bong, go ahead.
Dagdag ko lang doon sa mga sinabi na bakit umasenso ang Japan, ang Korea, at saka yung Siya lang, narinig ako narinig.
Yeah. We can hear you.
Kasi ganito lang yan eh. Ang Japan kasi at saka ang Korea, meron silang political stability. So kung pag nagkalyado sila sa Amerikano, hanggang ngayon kalyado nila Amerika. At ganun din ang South Korea. Tayo mga Pilipino, tayo mga Pilipinas, depende sa presidente. Presidente kasi natin walang political stability. Merong pro-American, merong pro-China, merong pro kung ano nung mga pro. So magpapalitan. So paano tayo tutulungan ng buo ng Amerikano? Ang itong mga maging binoto natin, nagtiwala tayo sa kanila, kahit sila mismo wala silang political stability at walang continuity. Kasi kung ano yung proyekto ng mga nakaunang mga presidente, pinuputol ng bawat presidente umuupo. So paano tayo magiging progresibo ay ang backbone ng ekonomiya is infrastructure. Kung ang infrastructure ang panahon ni Pangulong Marcos Sr., kung tinuloy-tuloy lahat yun, baka naungusan natin ang South Korea. Pinutuloy, lahat pinutuloy, lalo na sa agrikultura, infrastruktura, telecommunication, lahat. Kasi iba naman ang presidente, pagdating naman kay Ramos, iba naman ang papamadakat niya, benta dito, benta doon, benta lahat. Pagdating na naman kay Erap, ganito na naman, pagdating naman kay Gloria, walang nangyayari. Kung meron lang tayong titingnan natin sa sabi nila hindi tayo tinulungan ng Amerikano, tayo pinalayas natin sila rito, tandaan natin. Kung ang base ba, hindi nakalayas diyan sa Subic, mawawala ba sa atin ng yan natin lang maganda katanungan sa bawat isa. Kung masasagot ng tama to. Kung nandyan ba ang military ng US military jet hanggang ngayon, magkakagulo ba ng gaya ng West Philippine Sea ngayon? Lalakas ba ang armas natin? Magiging ba tayo? Magkaroon ba tayo ng political stability? O magiging kagaya na tayo ng ibang bansa na mayroong sila dyan na nananatili ang base nila. Pero mas anong base sa Korea, ilang taon na yung meron nandyan. Ang sa Hapon, ilang taon na rin ang base militar ng US dyan. Bakit sila umasenso? Yun lang, bigyan natin ng tanong. Ako, hindi ako pro-US, hindi rin ako pro-China, whatever. Pero tingnan natin kung sino yung tinutulungan ng tama. Kasi, lagi natin bukang bibig. Sige nga, nangyari sa Mindanao, Alam mo, panahon naman ng World War I yun eh. Kaya pagdating ng gira, wala, talagang merong ganun nangyayari. Kasi in history naman, talagang merong masakit pag may gira. Hindi naman yung nagkagaya ngayon na pumuntang ka na, may nakasakar lahat ng mga Pilipino. Hindi naman nangyaring ganun eh. Panahon ng gira yun. Kaya hindi pwedeng ihalimbawa yun na pinatay ang lahat ng mga Pilipino na pumunta sa Pilipinas. Tapos, wow. Kahit gano'ng panahon ng Espanyol, eh, pumunta naman ng Espanyol, minasakar din ng mga Pilipino eh. Nandito sa Maynila, kaya nga sumuko nga si Raul Soleman dahil pinagsumama ko sa kaya ng mga Pilipino natin dito sa Maynila at sa iba pang lugar ng sakupan. That is wow. Panahon ng pananakot ng araw, hindi naman panahon ngayon ng pananakot. Kaya lang, yung mga naratibo kasi ng iba, na anti-American, anti-China, tingnan natin ngayon ng sino ang nangunguna sa larangan ng negosyo at mga kalyado ng mga malalakas. Nagpaibot man si Duterte sa China, is his choice niya yun. Yun ang ano niya, yun ang agenda niya eh. Kung nagpaibot man ngayon sa Amerika, eh ito rin ang agenda ng ating Pangulo eh. For the next president, sino naman kayang ipapaibot nila? Doon tayo. Dapat ang ibuboto natin sa bawat isa, hindi lang tayo pipili ng isang matalino, magaling, whatever. Kung ano yung programa ng bawat presidente na sana itutuloy-tuloy. Para yung political stability at ang natin ay magiging successful kagaya ngayon. Kung ang mananalo ba sa next president natin, halimbawa na lang, kung dilawan ng halimbawa, ang napundar ni Duterte at napundar ni Pangulong Bongbong Ramos, wala na rin yan. Kasi iba naman ang namumuno. So nasa atin ng Pilipino ang mamili kung sino talaga ang itatalaga natin presidente na ang bawat programa ng presidente ang magtutuloy-tuloy. Kasi ang programa ni Pangulong Marcos Sr. ang haba nun eh. Na para lalo na sa infrastruktura. Naputol lahat yun. Kailan lang binuna yun? Yun yung hindi natin pwedeng sisihin ng Amerikano, hindi natin sisihin ng China. Walang sisisihin tayo mga Pilipino dahil tayong pumili ng isang Pangulo na iuupo dyan na hindi natin alam yung political stability niya, kung saan siya talaga. Kung ang prinsipyo ba niya ay para sa tao o para sa... Kasi hindi mo pwedeng Pilipino lang ang nasa puso mo. Kailangan lahat eh. Makikipagkaibigan ka sa lahat ng mga bansa. Kasi ito ang nagbibigay trabaho para sa mga Pilipino. Wala kang pwedeng masamang tinapay na ibabato sa kanila. Kundi lahat kakaibiganin para magiging balanse. Kasi sila lahat ang magpapasok sa atin ng negosyo, pera, trade, lahat. Trabaho, pagkain ng bawat Pilipino sa pagkainan. Kung meron tayong kikilingan at masisira naman ang ating ang negosyo at kalakalan, eh, saan pipili? Kaya mas maganda. Alam mo, napakaswerte ng Pilipinas. Nagkaroon tayong Pangulo dalawa eh. Kasunod eh. Duterte at saka ganito. Pero, sa totoo lang, kung maging pro-China man si Duterte, choice niya yun. Ngayon, may aral na tayo ngayon. Ano ang nangyari dun sa choice niya? Natuloy ba ang mga infrastruktura? Hindi. O, ngayon, tingnan natin ngayon. Kasi nabaon tayo sa utang, totoo lang, nabaon tayo sa utang kasi wala nang tumutulong sa atin. Kung nagpapautang o mga lalong-lalo na yung mga oligarch natin noon ay walang tumutulong. Sa presidente ni Duterte, wala. Ngayon, magtataka ka, ang daming PPP project ngayon. Sino na lang naman ang masipag na tumulong na oligarch kay Duterte? No? Si Abuitis, mapapakalanan natin. Si Abuitis, sino pa? RSA, sino pa? Wala. Kasi yung sabihin natin si Manny Pangilinan ay dati na yan kay Pinoy eh. Kasi nakuha niya na lahat ng mga negosyo natin dito. Tubig, kuryente, dati na yan kay Pinoy na yan eh. Yung mga yung mga proyektong PPP o Build Operate project natin o transfer ng mga proyekto. Sino na may mag-ano niya ng kundi nakita natin siya, pumunta ang talaga na mayagpag. So yun yung tingnan. Ngayon, tingnan natin ngayon ang ekonomiya natin ngayon at saka itong mga oligarch ngayon. Kasi sabi nila, ang mga oligarch, keso ganito, bla 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 bla, ano mga sinasabi nila. Pero hindi nila alam na ilang milyong Pilipino ang umasa at nagkaroon yung pagkain sa pagkainan ng dahil sa mga oligarch ko. Ako dati, galit ako sa oligarch ko, pero nakikita natin, ang isang Pangulong ngayon, nakikiayon sa mga oligarch ko dahil alam niya, ito ang may mga pera at makakatulong sa infrastruktura. Minura ni Duterte si Pangilinan, minura si Duterte si Ayala, minura ang kung sino-sino pa. Natulungan ba tayo sa mga proyekto? Hindi. So ano ang nangyayari? imbes na pa-forward tayo, pa-backward tayo sa infrastructure. So anong ginawa ni Duterte? Eh di nangutang na lang doon through ODA na pwede naman sana mag-PPP. Kasi itong PPP, walang gagastusin ng gobyerno in terms of infrastructure, kundi ito lang mga right of way, kung ano pang mga tutulong nila. Kasi parang namang ano yan eh, parang namang private and public partnership yan eh. So yun yung tingnan natin Pangulo sa susunod na kung dapat kalyado dapat ng buong mundo, hindi kalyado lang ng iisang nasyon. Kasi ang lahat ng buong mundo ay yan ang nagbibigay ng trabaho. Tingnan mo ngayon, pumapasok ang EU, pumapasok lahat ng sa Amerika, pumapasok. Napili tayo dahil sa chip tax na yan. Napili tayo sa 7 nasyon sa ASEAN na pinagpipilian, mapalad tayo pag isa tayo sa bibigyan ng proyekto ng chip tax, punta tayo dito. So yun yung tingnan natin sa susunod na Pangulo. Kasi kung tayo mapipili lang ng Pangulo na ayon sa nakikita natin kung anong ilalabas ng dulo ng dila at ating paniniwalaan, dahil sila ay malakas, sila ay matalino, sila ay tawag ganito kung anong masasabi natin, pero ang political stability nila, sarili nilang interest lang at kikiling lang sa isang bansa, at doon lang din mag-umbrella, baka instead na pa-forward tayo, pa-backward na tayo. Alam mo, kanina natawa ako sa nabasa ko eh. 25 nation na magiging at 20 nation worldwide na mangunguna sa ekonomiya in 2100, 2023 tayo. Alam mo, pasok ang Pilipinas pang 12. Kasi yan, binabase naman yan talaga doon sa mga GDP mula pa nga 1965 up to the present. So doon na nakukuha yung trend na yan. Ngayon, kung magkakaroon tayo ng Pangulo na pag-backward na naman ulit, pipili naman tayo sa 2028 ng Pangulo na hindi nakikipag-alyado sa mga kagaya ng EU, Amerika, kung sino-sino pong mga malalakas dyan. Iisa lang din ang gusto niya. Ano mangyayari sa Pilipinas? Kasi ang mga investor, security ang kailangan nila dyan, negosyo. Hindi yan para maglagat ng pera dito. Na ang kalaban nila sa politika o kalaban nila sa trade, whatever, okay lang trade, maglalaban. Pero yung political stability, yung tinitingnan ng isang investor, kung kinikilingan mo ay iisa lang, ay teka lang, magkakanya-kanyang kalasan niya. Tingnan mo ang Vietnam, tingnan ng Thailand, tingnan natin ng Singapore, tingnan natin ng wala silang kinikilingan. Lahat welcomes kanila, mapa-China ka man, mapa-Russia ka man, Amerika ka man, mapa-EU ka man, anong klase na yayamang bansa, welcome. Yun yung hanapin natin Pangulong iupo para yung pagiging progresibo natin tuloy-tuloy. Yan lang, sa susunod ulit. Mamaya, kung yun na rin yung papalaman.
Okay, Bong. The question remains, Duterte being the popular president with a trust rating of all the way up to 90, if I remember right, cursing the US president, cursing the Pope, cursing the Filipino priest, cursing the United Nations, okay, and opting out of the ICC, and praising the Yun clause at one time or another afterwards, made it a phenomenon or a phenomena na iba talaga si Duterte. Ito nga, yung si tahanan ng lahit, he doesn't realize what I'm talking about. He calls me lax depth and deep analysis. Yan ang talagang analysis. Kung titingnan mo how I praise Duterte and at the same time calls his pivot to China a failure is a contronym in itself. It's a paradoxical status. Dahil biruin mo, I praise Duterte, the phenomenon himself, cursing the Pope, the ambassadors, cursing the United Nations, imagine, cursing ICC, but he was able to do whatever he had to do. Yun nga lang, after 4 years of realizing that the Philippines is not ready to step back dahil yung mismong supporters niya at the armed forces of the Philippines, of which he first increased the salary. Ayan ang style ng mga katulad ni President Marcos. Ni-raise niya rin ang salaries ng mga ng mga AFP at the time. At ganun din ang ginawa ni Duterte. It's a brilliant move. You see, those people who believe that I criticize Duterte is because I am anti-Duterte. I criticize what needs to be criticized and praise what needs to be praised. Di ba? Ang problema, banat kagad sila. Purely anecdotal, tahanan ng lahi. Those were the stories of Yasay. Okay, his AFP people. Okay? News article by diplomat. Okay, yung diplomat na yan. Marami kang mababasa dyan at mapupulot. Di ba? He cannot just discount the fact that those are stories were from Duterte himself. Him telling the people that he had some problems with the US immigrations. And I take his side. Dahil napunta siya sa US, kulang lang sa dokumento, nagre-reklamo siya. Sino naman ang hindi magre-reklamo? Kung talagang nangyari yun. You see? Kaya bago ka mag-criticize, you have to understand first where I'm coming from and why I'm saying ganito yung vilification, because this is what happens after the vilification of the US. Yung mga mangmang at mga may hina ang pag-uutak, and I'm not gonna be shy about that. Yung mga akala nila feeling influential sila or influencer sila. Ang akala nila ganun-ganun lang na, down with the US, ganyan ang mga Amerikano, ganyan ang mga ganyan. Yung iba, it makes sense. Okay? When you question what the US policies, you back it up. Tulad sabi ni Edward, nung panahon na ganito, tama naman yung sinabi niya, nagagalit siya dahil inaasahan niya na yung sinabi ni, kung sino man ang kausap ni Del Rosario na aalis ang China at dapat tumulong ang US, tama naman. Miski ako, nagagalit ako. Nung ginagawa yung mga structures ng China, meron namang satellite ang mga kano. Pero anong ginawa? Hinayaan nila. And my other self would reassert why. Alright. Tinatayo ang mga structures, kakaroon ng parang landing ng mga aeroplano, tapos may mga building, tapos nandito ako sa satellite. Had I been the warfare operator of whatever it is in the satellite, had I been in the US Air Force or US Space Force or US Army or US Navy or whatever it is that I'm doing as part of my duties, I should call it and give it to my boss. Boss, may nangyayari dyan, sa mga islands na yun, mga Chinese. Nagbibuild ng ganito. Natawagin niya ngayon yung watch captain. Ang watch captain is the guy in charge of the Combat Information Center or whatever center kung nasan sila, strategic center or whatever. Tatawagan yung watch commander. Watch commander will take a look at it. All right, what do we see? Okay, intel people, what can you tell? Okay, write a report. Papasa natin down the line. Nakarating yan din sa pinaka unit commander na. Unit commander will go to either Pacific Fleet Commander or whatever commander. Okay? So ngayon, i-analyze nila yan. Is this a reason for concern as far as the international relations, foreign relations? Is this a violation? Ayan. Does this call for a Congress inquiry? Yung mga ganong issue. Okay. First thing that they have to say or do, who owns that land or who actually has claims? Marami namang may claims dyan. Bakit Pilipinas lang ba? Sinasabi nga ng iba. Kiniklaim din ng Vietnam yan eh. Kiniklaim din ng Malaysia yan. Kiniklaim din ng Pilipinas. So China nagtatayo, kirain na ba natin? They cannot make those moves because of what China is doing. As far as I'm concerned, it's my opinion. I'm not the expert. But the way I look at it, okay, because I work for anti-submarine warfare, dyan sa, sabi ko nga, dyan sa paikot-ikot dyan between 87 to 91 or 90, dyan, sa Pacific Area of Responsibilities, okay, Patrol Squadron 19, nakikita namin yan, splat this and everything. I have no knowledge or I have no expertise in those matters. Okay? It's the guys responsible for reporting to the Watch Commander 2, the Unit Commander 2, the higher echelon of command 2, the Joint Chief of Staff maybe, Chief of Naval Operations, Chief of Army Operations, Chief of whatever. Okay? And then to the President. Tapos Congress. Walang nangyari because they feel, to me, that it's not of their concern as of that time. Okay. Kaya nga yung sinasabi nila nung lagi dyan na itong EDCA, will they be able to actually do something? Do you think the Filipinos really believe that na yung mga tinatawag nila dyan na the US will actually do something when the Philippines had been violated upon by any country for that matter? Dadalhin pa rin sa Congress. So yung konting utot at medyo tain na halimbawa pinasabog dyan sa buong West Philippine Sea, hindi pa rin bibigyan ng aksyon. As far as I'm concerned, EDCA is just a presence, just like the US bases is present. It doesn't mean that they will actually go to war just for that reason or reason alone. Hindi basta-basta ganun. But it's used by anybody, even Duterte himself. That's why it's pivot to China. But are we expecting that the pivot to China will give us China weapons? That China will, for whatever reason, will defend us against American incursions or American occupation of the Philippines? Of course not. So the same token with the US invasion or US occupation, hindi naman yan basta kung ano man na gagawa ng ganyan. Now, tahanan ng lay, nandiyan ka pala. All right, let's see. What were you said it lacks depth. Bigyan mo ng bigyan mo ng depth yung sinasabi mo. Pakinggan natin. Baka meron kang nalalaman dyan sa pivot to China and kung hindi nag-fail. Tell us. Let's welcome tahanan ng lahi.
Good evening po. Kanina may nasabi ako, medyo kasi ako, straightforward pagdating sa mga tawag mo, sa mga tweet. Style ko siguro yan. Just like you, that is your style. I did not take offense, whatever it is that is written on the Twitter, because we ourselves don't know each other. So I know you as a good person, that's it. And then whatever it is that is your style is your style. So I don't take offense on that. So my take on saying that it's purely anecdotal is not personal. It's just an observation, given that you set the tone, like saying experience in immigration, he was hauled off at some point in time. Therefore, it is the cause of where his hatred, shall we say, quote unquote, hatred to the Americans. I mean, for me, it's just superficial, because at the level of a presidency, you may sound like an idiot, but you have an overtone or undertone message that you are trying to get across. So yun ang observation ko lang, because my personality is I want to challenge how people see what is not the obvious. So what is the objective of the president, meaning the PRRD, saying all those in a level, gutter level, and he said to himself many times that he is not a statesman, he is just talking like a mayor. So, and he is not into graphing his intention, because it will be like, in his style, be it a tactic or a strategy, ganun siya magsalita. So, and then, tama naman yung observation mo kanina na he has all these cabinets surrounded him with an American leanings. So that's also a good point. So, do we hate Americans? No, because we compartmentalize Americans as their contribution to our culture, education, manner of speaking, logic, and everything. We owe it to American education and American education system. Thanks to them. So, do we hate Americans? No. Do Duterte hate Americans? No. So what part of America did Duterte hate? That's what I'm trying to get from persons or personalities that is saying that either you're with us or you're against us, or speaking like God, because it's in the line is in the Bible, because Christ say it's either you're with me or you're against me. We cannot do that. We're just human beings. We take advantage of China as an economy. We have claims, overlapping claims. We fight just like brothers and sisters fight. but we don't mean we will destroy each other. So, and then there are American influences on our Coast Guard, which is obviously Tariola, who is not objective, which is blinded by fanaticism or whatnot. That's it, according to my observation, at the detriment of the Filipino interest. Because if you are so fanatic, mawawala na yung objectivity. I'm not a fan of Duterte. If Duterte would be fair and square, be found guilty on his drug war, then so be it. But it's not fair. Everything is when it's geopolitical, it's an easy topic. What Duterte tried to achieve is that we, as a Filipino, have this culture of being subservient. Even in the office, we cannot say straightforwardly, objectively, because we, sa culture natin, babalikan ka. Sa ano pa lang, sa street, makikita mo na yan. Mas agit ka lang ng motor or magtitigan lang kayo. Bukinutan na kayo kung meron kayong mga ano. Yung pride natin, mas maano tayo eh. Hindi tayo mga refined na tao. Pag sinabi natin na, uy, may ano, hindi maganda yung postura mo ngayon, you take it personally kasi. So, my training and my experiences is to go beyond that superficial observation. Did Duterte fail? To some, maybe. Did Duterte fail? No, he did the mark that says that if you have something, or when it comes to negotiation, we don't just give like soil for the word, like bubukaha ka na lang. Because that's kahit saan, mga babae na empleyado, may mga degree ka, pero pagdating sa mga foreigner boss, para silang ano, parang kailangan pa nilang mag-expand ng din para I don't know what. Ganun ang culture natin eh. Parang hindi tayo, nagaling din kasi ako sa ibang bansa. Pag sa ibang bansa, I have to straightly say to your face, what is your performance? And then like it or not. Ganun. So ganun ang training ko. I don't mean to make offend to anybody. Just, I test logic. I test how it is. Sa atin kasi mahilig kasi tayo na na parang nag-iinuman lang na kwentuhan na, oh yeah, ganon. So, parang jolly lang. Which is, hindi naman siya masama. Pero when it comes to geopolitical and economic, hindi tayo pwedeng American lang because Duterte has also a depth understanding of don't take Duterte as your usual kainuman, bro, because he finished law and then he has depth sense of everything. Although the way he speaks is like Donald Trump being hated by the scholars of Harvard and whatnot. So ganun yung style. So style lang yun. Pero sa akin, yun, hindi naman tayo magkaaway. Nandito nga ako para i-point out ko yung side ko na when I talk, I talk straight, but I don't mean to hit you personally because we don't know each other. Yun lang.
Okay, looks like you missed the part where I said Duterte is a phenomenon, receiving 90% trust rating from the people for whatever he did because he had the people rally him and support him in whatever political will he is doing. And I say the vilification of the US and the pivot to China failed. Yung dalawa specifically. Because in other programs, in other things, Duterte was able to successfully convince the people that it is the right thing to do. Now, when I say the vilification of the US, yung inisa-isa ko, enumerated. Yung mga basis ko, one from the diplomat, knowing the Asia Pacific, itong binigas ko yung bylines, yung pangalan niya from Reuters, just to make sure that if I didn't say it, it's Lian Daval Jr. From Reuters. At piniliwanag ko yan, in the 80s, Reuters, Associated Press, and TASS are the three major agencies that we resort to when it comes to articles and reading newspapers. Later on, nagkaroon na ng USA Today, The Guardian, and all kinds of reference materials nung nagma-masters na ako. And there's the internet to be able to look into books. What I'm trying to say is Duterte is a phenomena na hindi mapaliwanag as to why a person who cursed the President of the US, the United Nations, of the ICC, okay, did the drug war and everything else, was still able to convince the people that he is doing what is right for the Philippines. Kaya nga yung nagsasabi na anti-Duterte ako, magugulat sila, is because they don't listen. They have not seen my history of how we, as a group, kami mga nakisali ako sa DDS, we fought hard, kaya si Pam Presi, si Bong, kung sino-sino kami, na we supported Duterte because we believe that whatever he was doing is for the country. Okay? Ngayon, nung natapos yung term niya, it boggles my mind when after what he said and what he told the people, it's Philippines first, which we supported. Biruin mo, American citizen ako, nagkumuha ako ng citizenship sa Pilipinas, regain my citizenship. I was teaching campus lectures and corporate training dyan on the weekends na naniniwala ako kay Duterte. And to the chagrin or protest of my friends in Lasal, in my high school, in my family itself, dahil stupid raw ako na ipinapatokan ko yung kapatid ko na isang drugista na naniniwala raw ako kay Duterte. At pinapaliwanag ko sa kanila, what is Tokhang? Who in their right mind will defend Tokhang in the face of your relatives who knew that my brother, my cousins, and my nephews were part of the drug usage, kung ano man yung ginagawa nila. But I do not support that. But at the same time, I feel guilty now that my brother is dead, that I wasn't able to convince him to stop drug abuse. Di ba? Dati namang anti-Marcos at anti-Duterte yung kapatid ko ngayon. What can I do? Aktivistang gago eh. But just the same, I supported him. But now, I take a different stance nung matapos na. Now we have the president, whatever policy, whatever leanings that the Marcos has, to me, I will support and I will defend. And in my mind, every time na nadasabit si Duterte, hindi ako laging pumapalag. But I try to maintain focus. Ba't mo lahat ko kontrahin? Karapatan nilang maging against the president if they wanted to, because that's free speech, that's free mind. So hindi ko naman pwedeng laging kailangan kontrahin. But at the same time, I must promote, di ba? Yung iniisip kong tama. It doesn't mean that I hate the Duterte followers. What I'm trying to say is this. We have a new president, we have a new administration. If we supported Duterte in vilifying Leni and Maria Ressa and Trillanes at the time who are going against the president, we should be doing the same thing to those people who are trying to vilify the Philippine president as a nationalistic attitude. We may not be patriots because we're not willing to die. Diba? Kasi naman, hindi naman tayo willing to die eh. Ang willing to die, the armed forces, because they still signed up. At andiyan pa rin sila, hindi sila nag-UUA. Defending the Constitution of the Philippines and following the orders of the president. And why do I hate when people call Tariela and the AFP itself amboys, pero ginagamit nila ang mga AFP ngayong may namatay na sasabihin si Pangulong Marcos, wala raw dun. Pero mo, tinatawag niyong amboy, binababoy niyo ang AFP, pagkatapos may namatay, gagamitin niyo naman at titirahin niyo si Bongbong. Dahil wala ron. Kaya nga sabi ko on my pronouncement yesterday, effective immediately, lahat ng NPA, lahat ng multi-group, Abu Sayyaf, MILF, MNLF, kung may gagawin kayong kalokohan, ISIS, schedule nyo sa Malacanang para ang presidente hindi gagalaw, hindi kikilos. Para pag nangyari na yung gusto nyo, nandoon na agad siya on the spot. I'm the president, I am here because the people wants me to be here and not having a life. Okay. Yan ang number 1 na pronouncement ko. Ano yung pangalawang sinabi ko kahapon para ang mga tao? Kung merong mga sexual intercourse, sexual activities sa Malacanang, whether it's the first family or the son or the girlfriend or the neighbors or the PSG or the staff or the guests, must be coordinated sa Malacanang office para hindi masasabi ni Maharluka-luka na merong sex orgy sa Malacanang. Alright, kasi sabi nga sa inyo, if you want propaganda, I'll do my own propaganda. Hindi nyo, ito yung pangatlo. Ngayon maliwanag tayo. Dahil pagalingan ng propaganda di tingnan natin kung saan tayo pupunta. Ito, Para maliwanag, ha? Ayan, yung kinakain ni Marcos at saka yung si First Lady. From now on, all dinner costs of the first couple must be accounted for and published by the COA to see if it exceeds the perception of opulence or exceeding what is expected of the modest living of a president who makes roughly 400,000 a month. Okay, 400,000 a month divided by 30. Ha? Alam na natin kung magkano ang pwede nilang gastusin sa isang araw. So is it modesty kung sila gagastos ng dinner date na magkokos ng 10,000 pesos for that time or maybe even 15,000 or 20 pesos once a week? Kaya yung mga nagsasabi na hindi sila pwedeng kumain ng mga ganun dahil hindi daw yun part of the modest living na sinasabi sa bawat empleyado ng gobyerno. It is preposterous and stupid to think that a president who earns 400,000 a month plus perks, okay, ay pagbabawalan mong kumain on their dinner dates, di ba? Si Duterte ba nung bumili ng motor na 1 million, at yung apo niya na gumastos ng magkano, na nagsuot ng magandang trahe de debutante na 18 anyos at gustong ganapin sa Malacanang, hindi ba makatarungan ba yun na ireklamo ng taong bayan ng mga siraulo na bakit daw doon gaganapin? Apo niya yun eh. Siya ang presidente. What is wrong with that president's granddaughter who actually believes na karapatan niyang mag-celebrate ng kanyang debut on a photo session lang dahil ayaw ni Duterte siguro ng, apo, ayoko naman ganyan-ganyan, di ako sanay sa ganyan, kalokohan yan eh. Apo yan eh, pwede niya bang tanggihan yan? Di ba kaya ako, I go to the limits of the law na pwede kong ipagtanggol yung tama at yung mali, punahin ko. Yun lang sa akin, ha. Kaya nga yung ibang pinagpipilit na I'm anti-Duterte, I am anti what is wrong and I promote what is right basis on my own opinion. Yun lang. Go ahead, Dipang.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Bong, Jack, Edward. Nice to see you, and Buxi. Okay, the topic is something like villification of the U.S. pivot to China failed. Okay. Okay, tama naman si Tahanan eh. Sometimes sinabi rin ni Chief, no, very clear, no. Sometimes yung mga superficial napapansin natin, and in the process we become unfair. And in my experience in space, am I guilty of one? Maybe. I'm not a supporter of Duterte and the Marcos administration. Everybody knows that. But saying or sharing with you some objective facts, yeah, pwede tayong magkasundo, pwede tayong mag-disagree. So what have I noticed? 2016, after Pinoy, it was a great economy. So nobody can contest that, and that's a fact. And 2014, 2015, Dr. Bernardo Villegas, have even pronounced, although he has some comments on the kind of fiscal management and prudence, fiscal prudence done during the Pinoy's time, not spending more or much for the infra, but that's their decision during that time. He said that anyone that we will vote for the 2016 election will have the comfortability of a strong economy for the next 2 to 3 years. So, kung 2015 niya sinabi yon, 2 to 3 years, 16, 17, 18. In fact, he even mentioned the name, kahit si Vice Ganda, ilagay niyo dyan, we will still have a strong economy. So, 2016, 17, 18, we have a very good economy. In fact, there was a time that the stock market even reached 9,000 points. After
ni Pinoy, nasa 8,000 lang eh. Di ba? Pero phenomenal din yung kay Pinoy. No? So, anong take dito? 2018, 2019, remember we had an inflation. And then there were already some signs, the early 2019, pababa na yung economy natin. Bumababa siya. Even before the pandemic. Now, if you assess all the things done by Duterte, ito lang yung comment ko sa kanya. Yung pivot sa China totally, when it comes to asking for more support in terms of infra, he missed the chance of getting all the other private businessmen here in the Philippines who's also willing to give or support the Philippines when it comes to infrastructures. Ang inuna nila yung nag-pledge sa coming from China. Sayang, kasi kung umabot ng 26 billion US dollar yon, ang nakuha lang natin to, wala pang 3 billion. So ilang percent lang yon, diba? Sayang. Second, case in point. Hindi lang naman niya minura ang si President Obama eh. He also belittled the capacities of other Western companies here in the Philippines. To give you an idea, in 2013, 2014, there were so many office buildings being built in anticipation of a bigger pie or share that we can take in the BPO industry. At that time, we were like less than 5% of the total market. And yet for us, marami na yun during those time. But you've seen buildings, BPO after BPO after BPO. And pagdating ng 2016, 2017, yung mga buildings na tinayo na yan amounted to something like 70 or 80,000 square meters of office spaces. Sino titira doon o sino gagamit doon? If you visuate it and you pronounce the word, parang totally you shifted your alignment to China. Will the West support you for that? Na-soft ang impact because Pogo came in. They took almost like 80-90% of these building spaces. But in terms of the real impact to employment, BPOs never, di man never, pero let's say lumagal yung expansion niya. You know, sasabihan ka na on the side swing during the town hall meeting, wala tayong kinikita sa mga pesa na yan. Mas mabuti pang wala na lang sila. Those kind of swipes, naririnig yan ng mga businessmen. Ang sa akin lang, sayang nandito na sila. Ano ba naman yung, sige, give priority or give preference to China, pero don't shoot this kind of businessmen who's already here. Di sana nagkakagulo tayo ngayon sa employment, di ba? We can choose whatever employment we want because there's so many stakeholders here, not just the Western, but also Chinese. Diba? So, did it fail? Yes, totally. Diba? Nag-fail tayo doon kasi hindi natin na-sustain yung growth natin eh. Hindi natin na-sustain yung growth natin. At the same time, nahit tayo ng pandemic, sabi nga ni Edward, nalala ko, pinalas tayo. Dire-diretso, pag titignan mo yung mga administrations over the past few decades, yun talaga eh. We cannot rely on just luck. We cannot just rely on good governance. But we have to also anticipate the possible unlucky or unfortunate things that can happen to us. So, in summary, hindi pwede na we will just be looking at the things being done by our leaders on the superficial level. We should also take into consideration, have they delivered what they promised? Or even if they have not promised anything at all, have they delivered the basic services needed by our country? From the education, through production, kahit nga sa mga news dapat they have to be transparent. Diba? Hindi pwede yung dadaan lang tayo sa social media, optics and everything. And on the side, you'll see na talagang hindi tugma So yun, sa akin, if you're saying it was, kaya kung si Bong naniniwala kay Benjo, ako hindi. Kasi para akong nabastusan doon sa sinabi niya, don't be like, para naman kayong crybabies. Siya nagsabi nun eh. Tapos yung government, di ba? Sinasabi nila, pwede naman kayo magbuhay sa noodles eh. Ito, pagkasa inyo. Para for me, it's a slap to our face. Kasi we are hardworking people eh. Yun lang. Yun nga, we see the things as they are, we assess it as they are, and we move forward by learning, diba? From all these things that's happened and is happening right now. Unless we are able to assess these things in the right way or right format, we will be experiencing same things over and over again. Diba? Yung kumbaga popularity, mauuna, diba? Kung sino yung ahead, diba? Iboboto mo kung sino ahead. Hindi naman pwede yun, diba? So, yun lang, sa akin, Chief. Thank you.
Okay, back to Tahanan and then Captain Jack, and then I will ask Andrama to speak up. Go ahead, Tahanan.
Based ako dun sa dinner. Okay. When presidents, tapos i-touch base ko din yung kay Difang na economic gains or surplus, budget surplus from Noy BPO industries, whatnot. So, quick lang, I am supportive of the president by openly criticizing him to give a certain push para hindi siya masyadong kampante. But given the options, I still vote for him if the election is tomorrow. So, ganun yung but I openly criticize him so that hindi siya tutulog-tulugan, akma siya sa expectation ng not really 100% dead spot, akma sa expectation, but balik tayo doon sa dinner. Para sa akin, it's a non-deal breaker because the president, besides his salary, libre naman siya lahat sa halos na So, that's only superficial, but what makes sense to ordinary people, the optics kasi is that ang marami pa kasi sa atin na pag ang propaganda is tingnan mo sila, parang nagpe-Facebook pa sa, magaganda yung mga ulam, pero yung mga kamag-anak nila sa probinsya, naghihirap. We have that mentality. So whether it's good propaganda against the president, then it works. So the president should, whoever it is that is planning the optics of the president, because optics is one way of communicating the people. So yun, medyo tagilid siya doon, although hindi naman para sa akin, hindi siya deal breaker because they live in a lifestyle different to the masses. So that's how they live, but sometimes you have to adjust because we are not yet there as a royalty or whatnot. So, ganon. Doon naman sa non-spending ni Noy, nakagame si Duterte. No, kasi nga, ang talagang fundamentals na nag-drive sa economy is the changes in the legislation insofar as taxation and economy is concerned started from Doria. Na-enhance na lang, na-refine kasi may mga hindi tama, na-refine na lang hanggang nagiging expanded VAT, refined tax laws, so on and so forth. So, hindi din all throughout. Tapos, makikita mo ako observer ako, introvert pero observer. Makikita mo, even when I took a little mga sa Lasal, may mga sila doon sa ethics is that meron pa rin mga drawing na ang BGC ang ganda pero dito sa may rembo-rembo sa mga Pasig, it's the poverty. So what causes it? So mga ganon. Because one factor maybe, it's just my opinion, is that lahat ng mga building na pinatayo, nag-took advantage yung mga BPOs and they register as PESA, which has tax holidays for 10 years. So ang lalaki ng building, walang pakinabang ang gobyerno in terms of taxes dahil under sila sa pesa na babuhin pa yung whatever capital outlay they have, and then tax holiday muna to 10 years na mabawi sila. Pero doon naman tayo sa employment. And then we say, is BPO a quality long-term employment? No. Manufacturing pa rin, just like the Taiwan. Taiwan is not BPO. Manufacturing, tayo BPO. Dahil ang namumuhunan tayo simula pa sa edukasyon. Highly trainable tayo, kiling tayo sa English, ano pa. So yun. Saan improve ang BPO sa economy? Doon sa salary ng mga employee, which is malaki pa rin ang withholding tax ng mga pag umabot ka ng 100,000 plus, nasa 25,000 yung withholding mo. So, na lang. So, ganun ang nangyayari. Malalaking building, walang tax, ang dami-dami dahil RCBC. Lahat ng may pinagtatayuan ng may BPO, hanggang ngayon may mga tax. Zero tax pa rin sila. May mga certain gross sales lang sila na tax na binabayaran. So, yung mga ganon. So, yun lang yung mga observation ko sa mga BPO at So, ang sa akin kasi, I'm not against Ayoko lang na, kasi ang training ko pa din, magre-review ng contract. Minsan kasi nadadala lang tayo sa, because it's US, it's gonna be good, I'm gonna be signing the contract with my eyes closed. No, you have to check the terms and conditions kung ano yung mga disadvantages sa atin. Sabihin na natin na hindi, transactional yan sa'yo. Quid pro quo, a value for a value. Let's not do that way. We will just give you aid and then you allow us to use your site because it's a strategical, leverage rin yan namin. Pag mga ganyan kasi, yung military naman kasi sa US, a geopolitical advantage, nakakagin din sila dyan economically, and then we are living high and dry. We live us high and dry. So parang ganon. So ang para sa akin, going to the topic is that did Duterte pivot to China fail? No. Not entirely, because the situation teaches us that we have to stand on our feet, whether it's the US or the China. Yun lang yung sa akin. Salamat.
Okay, before we go to Captain Jack and Dipang, let me just add when it comes to BPOs, some of them that started in 2006, such as TELUS, Convergys, Teleperformance, and many others where I won't name a couple of companies where I actually did corporate training when it comes to risk management, ganyan sa Ortigas at sa dyan sa Taguig, okay? Nagbabayad na sila ng taxes. Now, the newcomers, such as Wells Fargo and some other companies, Australian companies, for that matter, are still exempted because there's a 10-year or 15-year, depende dun sa pinasok nilang agreements. But just the same, you are right, yung revenues at saka yung employment na binibigay nila. As a matter of fact, between 2016 to 2019, I always hang out dyan sa Jollibee, sa yung Ayala Malls, okay? At dyan ko mini-meet yung mga nag-i-interview. I give lectures, free lectures sa how to pass, yung sa mga interview process. Nagugulat nga yung iba, how did I get that network? Tapos yung mga taong i-interviewin, binibigyan ko sila ng mga pointers and I ask them interview questions impromptu and people come and merge. And then I give free breakfast pa. Nagugulat sila. But those are just the things that I do. As I call it individual social responsibility, just like what you learn dun sa master's degree, that there's corporate social responsibility, people making money out of the corporations, that they have this responsibility to help the community. And I myself believe that I should help my community in my high school, in my barangay, in my family. At yun ang sinasabi ko, sa halip na magreklamo tayo sa gobyerno, tumulong tayo in our own way that we can. Okay, yun lang ha. Thanks tahanan at ito yung sinasabi ko, we need people that will discuss like si Dipang, on a different perspective na merong kagandahan naman na dinulot sa Aquino government at tama rin naman sinabi ni tahanan na marami ring nagsasabi na nakinabang si Aquino because of the economic moves na ginawa ni GMA na sa katunayan is pinapakinggan siya ni Marcos for a while, yun nga lang nawala at kinikriticize naman yung pagkakawala ni GMA being the economic powerhouse. So, ang sa akin, when I do these things, ang nakikita ko kasi, yung maliliit na mga tao nga na ang pinalalabas nila palagi, yung mga amboy, mga ganyan, it breaks the habit. I mean, we should break the habit of doing this vilification kasi titingnan mo, military ang mga yan, nanumpa sila na ide-defend ang Constitution at susunod sila sa Pangulo. Sino ba yung mga Pangulo na yan? Nung panahon ni Pinoy, si Pinoy. Panahon ni Duterte, si Duterte. Ngayon, panahon ni Marcos, si Marcos. So I find it hard to believe na yung sinasabi nila na ganito ganyan dahil sinabi ni Duterte, tapos na yon. Let us look forward to what this new president has to offer. Ngayon yung isa, yung kay Andrama, I know that may be insensitive. Tama rin naman yun. Na diniscuss namin yan ni Edward tungkol dun sa helicopter na parang hindi naman tama sa panahon na ipakita pa ng Pangulo na ginagamit niya ang chopper. Pero pagka naman itinago pa yun, mas lalong maging issue. Ngayon, ito yung nagpadala sa akin ng message kung bakit daw ang Pangulo at ang kanyang unang ginang ay nagpapakita pa ng kanilang date. Because they're trying to set an example na kahit nasa edad na 66, you can still love, okay, and be bonded with your special wife or couple or your special partner na pwede naman yan kahit na ganong edad. Pinapakita niya na the union or the matrimony itself is a sacrament or something like that, you know. Kasi kami ng misis ko, wala na kaming date na ano, but when she says, dalin mo ko rito, kumain tayo sa labas, I say, when? Kumbaga no, how high? Diba, ganun kagad, wala na akong, pagod ako, gastos na. Pag sinabi niya, let's go, para ganun. So, to my mind, yung ginagawa ni President Marcos, posting that on FB is, I don't think it's too insensitive or sampal sa mga mahihirap. Kasi ang mahihirap, they're not on Facebook, they're not on Twitter. Nandiyan yan, kumakayod, naghahanap ng mga makikitaan kung ano man. Okay, yun lang para sa akin. Go ahead, Jack, and then Dipang.
Paano ko ba sisimulan to? Yung sinasabi ni Tifang kanina na yung sa PESA na para bang ang intindi ko inayawan ni Duterte. Tama ba ako? Correct me if I'm wrong sa pagkakaintindi ko. Well, alam niyo kasi yung mga sinasabi ninyo, yan, mula sa PESA, mula sa BPO, lumalabas ang problema natin with regards to this vilification of the United States and pivot to China is all about values, compatibility rather of values. No? Obviously, hindi tayo compatible sa China because in China, halos wala nga silang sarili na ng values dun dahil lahat kontrolado ng government nila. No? Right now, medyo hindi tayo compatible sa Amerika because the current administration is what is called the Democrats. And the Democrats right now is trying to create chaos. At actually, ayoko nang magkomento sa Amerika, hindi naman ako Amerikano, pero yun nga, yun yung observation ko lang, ano? Based sa news, based sa mga tweets, and everything else. So, it's all about values. So ngayon, ang best na pwedeng gawin ng Pilipinas is simply to identify what values does really the country should flourish. Ayan, sinabi na nga ni Tahanan na yung legislative adjustments na ginawa ni PRT nagresulta sa mga magagandang bagay, specifically sa economy. That explains why until now we are so poor. Kasi yun nga, sabi na nga ni Bernard Villegas, ang ating saligang batas ay ubod na saksakan ng ambiguity. Ikaw ba naman mag-i-invest ka sa isang bansa na ganyan ang patakaran. Kumbaga, to give you a better perspective, ikaw ba, bibili ka ng isang property, let's say bahay or lupa or house and lot or even a car, na ang patakaran nyo or ang deal ninyo napaka-ambiguous. Siyempre, hindi ka bibili ng ganun. Di ba? Hindi ka papasok sa ganung bagay kasi ambiguous eh. You never know what can happen next. So ngayon, sabi na nga rin ni Chief na hindi ko kasi nabalitaan na meron palang interview si PRD sa kay Renza ba yun, na inamin niya he's from the left. So right now, lumalabas, basically, tama yung observation ko that the Tilawans and the Kakampings and FPRD himself is from the left. So the best thing the country can do right now is do a Singapore. Anong ginawa ni Lee Kuan Yew? Tinanggal niya lahat ng komunista. And that's the best thing we can do right now. Kasi otherwise, kung mananatili tayo sa ganitong sistema, sa ganitong pamamaraan, at sa ganitong values, sa ganitong pamumuhay, walang mangyayari sa atin. Mag-aaway tayo ng mag-aaway kung sinong tama at kung sinong the best president. Imagine this, we are already saying or debating who is the best president, pero yung bansa hindi pa umuunlad. Kung ako, mas maganda paunlarin muna natin yung bansa, then tsaka natin pag-usapan sino ang the best president. Kaya nga, hindi ko sinasabing si FEM o si FPRD ang the best. Why? Kasi wala pa tayo sa lugar na para sabihin yun eh. Kasi talamak pa rin yung kahirapan eh. Diba? Kaming mga middle class, naiipit kami sa away ng mahirap at ng mayaman at ng politiko. Kami gusto lang namin mabuhay ng matiwasay. Yung makakain kami ng 3 beses sa isang araw, okay na kami. Makapagbakasyon kami ng konti, okay na kami. Yung may hirap, anong gusto? Gustong hatakin lahat yung mga middle class pababa para magamit nila yung superior number nila na mapasunod yung mga mayayaman na sa kagustuhan nila. Sa tingin nyo ba mangyayari yun? Hindi. Ang gagawin ng mga mayayaman na yan, pag nangyari yun, aalis yan dito. Maiiwanan tayo rito, lalo tayong maiipit. So, I would like to appeal to everybody, tigilan na natin itong right now, we are not completely aligned with the US because of their current administration. However, by overall values, not just politically but also socially and on our regular daily lives as mostly Catholics, the best values that aligns with us is the West. Wala nang iba. Unless otherwise gusto niyo ulit ng dictatorship na puro gobyerno ang masusunod. Ako, ayoko ng gano'n. Kung gano'n mangyayari, aalis ako dito. Ba? So, tapos balikan ko lang yung sinabi ni Taan regarding sa employment na tambay narinig ko kanina, parang hindi permanent yung sa BPO or something like that. Ito masasabi ko sa mga employees, kasi pangalan nito si Doc Ligot, na kwento niya yung sarili niya regarding nung nagsimula siya at meron siyang mga tinatawag na hinawakan daw na temporary employees. Ngayon, kung ikaw ay nasa isang temporary employee situation, wag kang aasa na magiging permanent ka. Tandaan niyo yan. Why? Because in the very first place, employment is not permanent. Kapag nalugi ang isang kumpanya, asahan mo mawawalan ka ng trabaho. Not unless negosyante ka at ikaw ang may-ari ng negosyo. Hindi ka mawawalan ng trabaho. Pero kung ikaw ay empleyado, kaya ka nga pumipirma ng kontrata kasi may hangganan yan. So ang gawin mo, kung ikaw ay hindi pa, let's say contractual ka pa lang or temporary employee ka lang, habang temporary ka, maghanap ka ng iba pang trabaho na pwedeng mapunta ka sa full employee, hindi na yung contractual or yung temporary. Okay? And even kahit permanent employee ka na or full-time employee ka na, your best bet would always be make investments in, or rather, do business kahit sideline business. Bakit? Kasi para pag natanggal ka, or let's say, kahit hindi mo gustong matanggal pero wala kang magawa dahil magsasara yung kumpanya, tatanggal ka, at least meron kang sasandalan na sideline business mo na magbibigay sa iyo ng tulong na, na financial na sa pagkailangan mo. Kasi ang dami kong nakikitang mga Pilipino, magkaroon lang ng trabaho, magkaroon lang ng kita, tuwang-tuwa na. At pagdating sa ganong lagay, ayun, maya-maya makita mo, bibili na ng mamahaling cellphone niya na kagaya ng iPhone. Tapos pag natanggal sa trabaho, ano nangyayari? Ay, putangin na tinanggal ko sa trabaho. Hindi naman permanent ang trabaho eh. Pag natalo ang kumpanya, wala kang magagawa. Pasensyahan ka. Okay,
Okay.
so yung mga empleyado, yan ang payo ko sa inyo. Huwag niyong masamain. Think about it very well. Para sa inyo yan. Para sa kabutihan niyo sa buhay yan. Salamat po.
Thank you, Jack. Go ahead, Defang. Defang, go ahead. Thank you, Jack.
Chief, alam mo, pagka sinasabi na, ano to si Jack, pag sinasabi niya na yung mga tilawan, tsaka mga kapits, mga lupit. Kasi totoo lang, Jack, hindi ko naman tinatanong sarili ko, leftist pa ako, I'm a dilawan kakampi. I'm telling you, when you say leftist, itong sila ganito and ganyan, lahat naman may leanings of being leftist. Lahat naman may leanings of being rightist. Diba? Where do we now draw the line? Saan tayo magbabalance together? Diba? As Duterte DDS, as MGR supporters, as of all other presidents. Kasi we are in the same team eh. But at the same time, I think we all agree na there's absolute value on life. So yung life talaga, pagka trinet mo yan, ayaw namin sa'yo. Diba? At least yun na na-notice ko sa sa spaces natin. No one is threatening life, which is very, very good.
Meron. Hindi, wala ka lang basher and hater, Defang. Meron people that actually threatens life.
Pero yun lang, no? Yung tahanan, there's no one contract that's equally or sabihin natin squared. Mutual agreements, yes. But me have seen and made contracts with almost all the other, sabihin mo na foreigners of this world, from the Westerners and to the different Asians, I've done that. Ayoko lang, pero talagang yung alignment natin talaga is yung Western education tayo. So, ako, hoping lang, no? Pag nakita nyo yung mga, I've seen a part of it, but I'm not a privy of it. We've discussed it, but I cannot say I know it totally. But I hope the government will be transparent on what they have seen and reviewed about these reclamation areas. Now, you will find out how disadvantageous we have gone in having deals with the Chinese government. Magugulat kayo. Talagang, kumbaga, sabi ko nga, the MGR admin have asked all these documents as early as April and May 2023. They announced the issue October. They were protecting the one that was allowed to proceed, because of the billions that have been invested there already. But besides this point, you will see and you will notice that all these contracts, even all the other contracts in the past, meron diyang disadvantageous, meron diyang onerous, meron diyang lugi ang Pilipino. And for us, di ba parang okay lang kasi ako naman, dito lang ako, okay lang yung buhay ko. But if you look at it in the whole national level, magdo-domino effect na yan eh. What if I tell you right now, if you have 1,200 hectares there being reclaimed in the reclamation area, 300, 400 hectares there will go to another country. Diba? This is sabihin natin recorded, di ba? So, yun eh. Di ba? But people don't know it. O, di ba?
Di ba, pakiulit mo nga yung sinabi mo doon sa reclamation na saan ito? Pakiulit nga yung sinabi mo sa reclamation.
Manila Bay. Yung pinatigil ng...
Yung pinatigil. Okay, so reclamations area sa Manila Bay. Tapos panong nangyayari? Nire-reclaim ang nagpapatakbo, iba-ibang kumpanya, iba-ibang bansa, ganun ba?
No, not really.
DENR suspended, pero pinapatuloy na yung iba because they wanted to know what is going on, pero yung iba in question pa rin. So, yun lang, Jack.
Correct.
Okay.
At any rate, last point, no, may sinabi kasi si Tahanan, you've seen a lot of contracts in your line of work, and that's good. And you'll know that at the end of this contract, it's basically saying you have mutually agreed. Now, whether the effects, I'm telling you, even that time of Pinoy, I don't buy that narrative that GMA have done a lot of economic steps on that. But you remember, she has done it 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. 8, 9, and 10, there were no effects. Even the PSEI, they're down, less than 2,000 points. When Pinoy came, in less than a year, that 2,000 points became 3,000 points. After another year, that 4,000 points. After 6 years, it became 8,000. During the time of Duterte, it became 9,000. Then it went down to 7,200. Then before Marcos came in 2022, 2023, 2022, I think we went down to 6,700. That 6,700 points went down to 5,800 points. Now, 5,800 points, right now we are at 6,900 points. Now tell me, PSEI is the best, proof of confidence of both local and international investors. So, yun lang sa akin, no? Maraming gates yan, actually. Hindi lang PSEI, marami yan. So, again, because of our education, as said by Tahana, sabi nga ni Jack, we have our own values that we have to protect. But in the end, sabi ko nga, we veer out on people, we veer away or we shine away from these people na pampagulo, di ba? Parang hindi ko naman narinig si GMA na magulo ng time ni Pinoy. Hindi ko rin narinig si Pinoy na magulo nung panahon ni Duterte. Hindi ko rin, alam mo, in as much as I didn't support this kind of administration, but for another administration, the previous one, coming in and being still part of the limelight, the optics and everything, social media and everything, it gives a wrong signal to the international community. Parang dinidiin natin yung sarili natin. And we supporting this kind of news is in fact detrimental to our economic potential. No? Kumbaga, for them, sige, dyan muna kayo Philippines. You have corruption and poverty. Diba? And now you're being pinned down by your political, different political arguments. So tayo na papaso eh. Diba? So lastly, ano ba yung sinabi sa PESA? Okay? Pag nagbanggit ka ng certain things, it means if you're in that industry, alanganin. Hindi mo na ako mag-expand kasi kine-question ng government yung PESA eh. Diba? Kine-question ng ganito. Actually, meron naman tayong economic benefit yan. It may not be that much. But mind you, during that previous administration also, mataas din ang manufacturing natin doon. Just look at the data. So yun, sa akin, no? Sana, you know, hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin huwag mo lang pansinin yung mga yan. Diba? Kasi Kaya ka nga nasa social media para mabasa mo yung mga iba-ibang information or takes. So, yun lang, we just have to have this all critical, sabi nga lang, no? Critical thinking, prudence, but without all the facts presented to you, without the capability to assess these facts, to reconfirm these facts, to research up to the 10th or 11th or 18th pages of Google, or go to ourselves to inspect, research the different websites of the government or the different institutions, we will always be confused on what is happening with our country. Chapsuy talaga, chapsuy. May issue ng ganito and superficial, may issue ng ganito, it's about integrity, may issue ng ganito, it's about natatabunan yung mga real issues and the real issues talaga with us is corruption and poverty. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tahanan and then Buxi and then Captain Jack.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's on PSAI. It's not really dead zero cost. This is no direct correlation when it comes to who's maybe political stability, one, but overall it's not really the indicator. Yun lang. And then TESA to BPO to and ano yung we are not against TESA, but when I say security of or longevity of employment in and vis-a-vis the economic growth of a country, TESA is, I said it earlier that mas maganda pag manufacturing siya based like Taiwan because they are like it contributes that much to the economy, whereas the BPOs are ano ba namang ng BPO? Capitalization, rent ng office spaces. So under TESA, ang pakinabang sa gobyerno, employment lang talaga, then withholding tax. Okay, meron ng employment, so meron mga economic activities, maganda siya. Pero maganda na ba as maganda long term? No, because BPO is a sunshine industry. Maliban na lang doon sa mga sasabihin na lang natin na big shots ng mga BPO na ang cater nila na clients sa US are big companies like Coca-Cola, Toyota, and whatnot. So, ganun, yung mga malalaking BPO, okay yan. Pero ngayon, nagsusulputan, alam nila kasi ang capitalization lang ng BPO is you rent a TESA and then magkaroon ka lang ng 10 employees. So, yun lang ang cost nila, ang pinaka-contribution talaga ng ang cost factor talaga human resources yung ating talent and skills na nakakontribute sa kanila. And then sa manufacturing, madami materials, direct labor, o overheads, mga ganon. Pero sa kanila, meron lang tao, papatungan nila ng malaki, ahente lang pala sila. Yun ang hindi maganda sa I'm not saying that all BPOs are good, but every time may mga bagong BPOs, they are massively they take advantage of the vulnerability of the Filipinos, maliban na lang sa mga at malalaking BPOs. TESA, hindi siya masama, pero mas maganda pag hindi siya focus sa BPO kasi nga naglalaki ang building. Akala natin Hong Kong na tayo ng Singapore. No, because ang nanirahan sa Hong Kong, Singapore, mga headquarters yan sa Europe. So yun, may mga ano ba yun? SWAR. Ano ba yung SWAR? Ang SWAR group is HSBC. Ano ba yan? Ano ba yung airline sa Hong Kong? Cathay Pacific. Yun yung mga SWAR group nandun sa Hong Kong. Nakabase. And then Singapore, yung mga head offices ng mga UK. So sa atin, anong meron? O sige, may mga talent tayo na BPO, highly trainable. Let's take advantage of the TESA, which is not bad, but really they're taking advantage of those small and medium startup BPOs. Yun lang sa akin. And then left. Lahat naman tayo poor. So meron din, si Marx, hindi naman siya mali. All throughout yung teachings niya, yung doctrines niya. Ang mali lang sa kanya is that he wanted to take over the government and start a new communist government. Don't start from the rubble, which is hindi naman. Kasi nga, ang Catholics nga, minsan may mga commander pa doon dahil na-attract sila sa magandang side doon sa kay Marx. So, when Duterte said, I am on the left, meaning his heart is to the poor. Yun Yun lang yung ano, yun lang yung nuance noon. Maganda kasi may nuance eh. Pag sinabi natin PETA may disadvantages, overall hindi naman siya masama. Pero sasabihin lang natin doon sa manufacturing side, if you want to develop the Philippines, then sinasabi na ng yun lahat ng chip manufacturing, the transfer din. Well and good, but still that is on paper. Ganun lang. So, ganun lang yung ano natin, ganun lang yung. So, pag sinabi natin kay GMA, siya talaga yung research, although yung ano sa kanya medyo low pa yung taxation niya, ni-refine na nga hanggang ngayon. So, ang advantage kasi niya is not year per year because yung weather ng climate ng economics is my international factor. PCEI is that we traded our PLDT stock even in New York. No? So mga ganun na points na PSEI is not really the barometer in which to measure the economic performance of a country. Ang sinasabi lang nila is gross domestic product and so on and so forth. So yun lang sa akin. Kailangan may nuance. When there's a sweeping statement, we agree to it that its overall is 70% good, but there is nuance like this 30%. We have to take a look at it. Ganon din sa kontrata. May mga kontrata nga na i-determinate ka lang without cost. May mga states sa US na ganon, di ba po? Sir Chief, ganon. May mga states sa ganon na i-terminate ka lang without cost. Sa atin dito, yung labor natin, hindi ganon. Dapat may justifiable cost. So, pagdating naman sa geopolitics kasi, doon tayo na ano, kasi pag sinabing gagamitin po kayo as side, we're not saying no. We're not saying yes. Just read the terms and conditions of the contract, whether our interest is upfront or at the backside. Yun lang naman sa akin. Salamat.
Okay, what tahanan means is what we call at will. At any time, a company or a contract says we're tired of you, or we want to fire you, or we want you to resign or terminated. It's what we call at will clause. Some states actually authorize or actually has provisions for those kind of at will. Kaya pagka ayaw sa'yo or ayaw mo na, you can quit at any given time. You know, hindi mo na kailangan yung tinatawag na 2-week notice. So same thing with the company. If they decide today that they wanna at will terminate your services, pay you all the wages that you have earned during that period at bukas or mamayang gabi, patatanggal na yung mga gamit mo doon and you are supposed to vacate the premises, it's legal. Go ahead, Buxi, and then Jack, and then Bong.
Hi, good evening sa inyo. Good morning, Aberal.
Hi, good morning.
We cannot deny na nung panahon ni Pinoy, the economy was doing very well. Pero it was an economy that was not sustainable. Kasi based on World Bank data, that was ang nag-undergird sa economy na yun was a 7 trillion smuggling. Hindi ba? Kaya naglagay pa nga sila ng smuggling SAR sa Malacanang, si Jojo Ochoa. Tapos it was a time na anong tawag dito, yung nagne-negative interest sa Europe. Kaya lahat ng hot money were looking for a place to park their money. Dito karamihan pumunta sa atin. That is the reason why yung stock volume na stocks dito tumaas kasi ang daming hot money nandito eh.
Oh.
Yun. Negative ang ano nun. Hindi pwedeng hindi sustainable yon. Tapos sasabihin pa ang masakit kay Pinoy, ayaw niya bigyan ng credit si Gloria na maganda yung ginawa ni Gloria sa taxation. Yun ang masakit. Ito ang actually nagiging critical ako kay Pinoy kasi I voted for him. Died in the wool, yellow ako noon. Pero nung nangyari yung corona investigation,
Tapos itong tawag dito, yung Scarborough standoff at saka yung kay Napoles. Sabi ko, it opened my eyes na ano bang kalokohan itong pinaggagawa dito. The worst is the Scarborough standoff. Kasi, anong tawag nga, hindi yung nakuha ng China yung feature na yon. It is that inopen up ni Pinoy or whatever, hindi siya siguro, yung event na yon na bigyan ng idea ang China na the mutual defense treaty is not the word the paper it is written on. Yun eh. Kaya hindi ba nagkaroon ng beach yung island building pagkatapos nun nagmadali ang China mag-build? Kala mo na hinahabol sila. They started building all of these things. And pagkatapos nun, ayaw ko na maging yero. Yun lang.
Wow, that's a revelation. Go ahead, Dipang. If you have rebut, we'll give it to Dipang first, then Captain Jack, and then Bob.
I will follow that. Ako naman ang sinabi niya susunod.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Sir, Bukit, that's very nice story from you that it opened your eyes somehow. Balikan ko muna yung sinabi mo regarding sa Scarborough na parang binigyan ng idea ang China kung anong gagawin para makuha yung West Philippine Sea. Alam niyo, ito nakita ko eh. Kay Ninoy, ang nawala, lumuhay pa siya, ang nawala yung Sabah. Tapos ngayon, si West Philippine Sea ang nadali. So para bang it was a game plan for the Dilawans all along na gano'n ang gagawin para laging may gulo, ganyan, etc. But anyway, that's not my point. Balikan ko lang yung sinabi ni Dipang kanina na regarding sa mga values. Wala naman, I have nothing against what you said, Dipang. Tama naman, you have some point. I have point taken naman. But my point, what I'm trying to say rather is actually kasi yung kagaya na sinasabi ni Tahan kanina, political stability. Political stability kasi starts with our values. Hindi tayo makakakuha ng political stability kung ganito tayo na mag-away-away sa labas. Kasi, yun nga we are still part of the process of government through elections. Kaya kahit pa paano, yung gobyerno nakikinig pa rin sa atin kahit in some way, no? So kung anong gusto ng taong bayan, kahit pa paano susundin ng government yan. Hindi po pwedeng hindi. Kasi otherwise, babagsak sa dictatorship yun. So kaya ako nasabi na that's the reason why I was able to say na wala tayong choice kundi gawin yung ginawa ng Singapore na tinanggal nila lahat ng komunista. Kasi kung laging merong gulo dito sa atin, wala tayong political stability. Pag wala tayong political stability, even our social side, na sinabi ko nga to sa space ni Arthur, ni King, na are we going on the right direction? Well, we have to look at it in such a way na socially, economically, and politically. Kasi sa tatlong yan, ang nasa gitna niyan is yung society, which is the social side. So basically, politics, economics also do have some sort of effect to the society. Pero yun nga lang, hindi nga lang 100% kasi kung 100% na puro excuse me, kung 100% na puro government system ang mamumuno, hindi na yun, dictatorship na lalabas yun. So, tama rin naman yung sinasabi na Silvia nagsabi kanina that we have to find balance. Kasi ganun yan eh. Yung tatlo na yan, yung economics, politics, and social side, binabalanse yan. Kumbaga sa kotse, ang tawag namin dyan, air-fuel ratio. Sa photography, ang tawag ko dyan is yung shutter speed. aperture, and ano ba isa, ISO. Hinahalo yan, minimix siya para makuha mo yung tamang balance. Pag nakuha mo yun, then you will get the result that you want. So right now, what we need is political stability. So, ayun, kailangan natin tanggalin talaga yung mga nanggugulo. Dahil sabi nga ni Tipang, si GMA nung araw hindi naman nanggugulo. Eh bakit ngayon parang biglang ang daming nanggugulo? Kaya nga nung kumibo si PRT na adik daw si BBBM, abay sabi ko loko to ah. O sige kako, kung ganyan ka, di sige papasukin niyo yung ICC para matigil. Dahil kasi political stability lang naman isa pang kailangan natin eh. Ma-achieve natin yan. Maniwala kayo sa akin kahit paano gaganda ang buhay natin. So yun lang. Thank you.
Alright. Go ahead, Bong. Bong?
Yeah, regarding kaya sa tama naman siya, matahanan. Talagang kay Duterte noong 73, out of 73 na ilan ang manufacturing ng siyam, pero hindi pa rin natuloy yung siyam na factory, pero mas marami ang nag-invest sa BPO ay to BPO. Kasi mura naman talaga. Mura ng sweldo, mura pa yung building, tax-free ka pa. So, yun yung isang nakakaano doon. Nakakatulong sa ekonomiya natin kahit konti naman. Pero ang problema kasi natin sa manufacturing, tama din si Dipang, edukasyon. Kasi from Cory up to Duterte, wala kasi nagtayo ng eskwelahan para sa science and technology natin, para maging advance tayo. Nakagaya ng Korea, kagaya ng Japan, kagaya ng China, kagaya ng tawag ganito ng Vietnam and Thailand at ibang bansa. So ang ginawa ni Duterte, nag-launch siya noong 2020 at nagpadagdag ng building sa Batangas State University. Buting matatapos. Matatapos dandaan, ano? Kaya naitayo yung KIST. Ano bang KIST? Ito yung knowledge sa Innovation, Science, and Technology. Exclusive lang po para sa mga mag-aaral kung sino yung papasok sa manufacturing, technopreneur, lahat ng science and technology. Kasi ang nangyayari kasi sa atin, mayroong investor tayo magtayo ng manufacturing. Ang problema natin, ang workforce natin ay para lang doon sa tinatawag nating factory worker. Wala tayong workforce na mag-ooperate ng mga high-tech na mga makina at mag-manage sa area o sa permasory. Kaya ang nangyayari, itong mga Hapon, itong mga Korean, at itong mga German o EU o Amerikano, nag-aaral sila ng kapwa nila kadugo at dadalhin dito sa Pilipinas, mas mataas ang sweldo na kasi as rate nila sa ibang bansa yun. Kung kagaya sana tayo ng Vietnam, na hindi na sila nag-hire ng mga high-ranking nasa profile, kasi nga itong mga supervisory o mga manager okay lang makakakuha tayo dito sa Pilipinas, marami tayo perfect niya. Pero yung sa mga technical jobs at saka sa mga tinatawag natin mga high-tech na mga gamit, mismo pa ang kadugo nila ang dinadala dito. Kaya ang ginawa ng Kapol, ng panahon ni Pinoy, unang panahon ni Gloria, kaya umani rin kay Pinoy kasi maraming nagtayo, nag-expansion ng company. Lahat ng mga Pilipino na may potential, dinadala sa Japan, dinadala sa Korea, para doon mag-aral at para doon mag-actual. So pag uwi dito, sila na mag-aansol doon. Tapos yung mga doon, kasi mas mura kasi ang Pilipino pag dito ka mga sahod kaysa kapon. Yan ang hindi na-anticipate ng every administration. So kaya ang manufacturing natin, mahina ang expansion. Ngayon lang naman ito nagkaroon ng expansion 2022 o 2023. Kasi meron naman kasi isang taon, 2 taon na naman idadagdag po dyan para matuto yung bata. College graduate siya, halimbawa sa electrical siya, sa mechanical siya, sa industrial siya, so dadagdagan na ng technology na galing sa ibang bansa kasi mechanical engineer siya, nakagraduate siya, hindi naman wala naman tayong makinarya na kagaya ng sophisticated na Korea, China, America, US, o whatever sa ibang bansa na dinadala dito. So dito po pag-aaralan, pinapasahod siya tapos titing lang. Yun ang wala sa atin. Salamat kay Duterte dahil nagtayo diyan sa Batangas State University ng KIST. Na in the future, mapapakinabangan yun. Kasi yung mga bata natin, itong mga bago natin next generation, at alam na rin ng investor na meron na tayong kapasidad na pwede na mag-operate, na hindi na sila mag-gayat ang kapwa nila katuto. Yun yung kulang. At pangalawa, kuryente. Tama din kanina nagsabi na political stability, sabi nga ni tahanan. Kasi yan ang wala sa atin eh. Yun din ang tinitingnan ng mga foreign direct investor, yung mga FDIs, yung political stability talaga. Kasi pagka ang politika natin sa bansa, kaya binanggit din nila, alam mo, hindi na nagbibilang dahil sa sabihin nila yan, ngayon, umahalot sa optics, so whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, tinitingnan nga ng investor yan. Teka lang, kayo dyan nagtatalo. Baka naman naman, pag kasi ngayon dyan, nagkaroon ng safety po, at may iisip naman ganito, baka bumagsak, baka sama pa kami bumagsak din, pag-i-invest. Instead na, nauudlot yung dapat na sana magtutuloy-tuloy. Kasi maraming ako nabasang article, na mag-iisip din talaga isang investor, lalo na mga day one, mga investment. Kasi nga, yung politika natin ngayon dito, nagsasabog yung dating Pangulo at ito buti nga, dineded na lang ng konti. Dinedig man lang ng problema naman. Itong mga senador at kongreso natin, nakikita ng nasa international na nagtatalo-talo. Sa batas lang ika-craft lang, nagtatalo-talo, hindi lang kakaintindihan. So, kanino magre-reflecto? Sa atin mga Pilipino. Kasi instead na meron na tayong expected na pumapasok investment na approved na ng BOEI, mahuhul. Teka lang, ayusin nyo muna yung politika nyo dyan sa House, representative at sa Congress, sa lower at saka sa higher. Kasi nagkakagulo kayo dyan. Ako dito, alam natin ang investor, hindi nagdadala ng $1 million lang yan pag pumasok dito ng negosyo. Lalo na sa manufacturing, sa processing plant. In terms pa, sabihin natin industrial. Alam natin, ang industrial, pag political stability, nag-aaway. Yun lang naman sa akin. Sino mo pakikisamahan natin? Sino pang natin? Sana itong mga pangulo natin, mga dating pangulo, titingnan din tayo. Kasi kung sinasabi nila na Philippine sila, Pilipino sila, dapat titingnan nila yung kapakanan natin. Kasi ang Pilipinas, kailangan ng trabaho dahil lumalaki ang populasyon natin. May mag-i-invest din sa infrastruktura. Paano mag-i-invest? Ito pa lang dito, baka mamaya, pag nag-cut ng batas sa Kongreso, hindi naman aaprobahan dito sa ano mangyayari sa investment. Kaya tingnan mo yung telecommunication natin, naging 100% FDI. Nandito na si bakit hindi nag-expansion dito si Elon Musk. Kasi yung batas na i-cut-off din, kung hindi magkakaintindihan yung dalawang yan, pwede maudot yung niya. Yun yung makikita kong diferensya sa ating mga Pilipino. Ginagamit sa politika ng dahil lang dun sa mga interest nila. Yun ang walang political stability. Yun ang nakakasira sa atin. Sa imahe nito. Yun lang. Thank you.
Alright, Bong. Before the let me just add yung sa sinasabi ni Bong. The government has actually, yung pinapasok natin yung TVET, Technical Vocational Education and Training, pinasok natin yan sa TESDA, and TESDA was realigned under the DepEd. And considering yung mga upskilling at saka yung reskilling ng mga workers natin, na itinutugma naman nila sa Department of Labor Statistics what are required na mga skills ng mga pumapasok na mga investors. Kaya nga yung kini-criticize nila that the foreign direct investments are currently underutilized or underapproved and not actualized because of the hindrances and the barriers into making sure that these foreign investments goes through. Number one, yung tinatawag na red tape, yung 160 signatures daw na sinasabi, Duterte himself tried to take away the red tape at talagang nilabanan niyan. Pero ang sistema ng Pilipino mismo, kaya nga sinasabi ko, do not blame the government, do not blame the system. Blame ourselves, our relatives, na pumapayag tayo na yung mga yan naghahanap ng lagay at pinapahirapan ang mga nag-i-invest. Kaya yun lang ang sa akin I do not criticize the government, okay? Duterte himself, it's us, it's within ourselves. Kaya nga sabi ko, pag may reklamo, dial #888 8, yung 4 na 8, at mareklamo yan. Go ahead, Dipang, please. Thank you.
But Buxi said kanina on the yung stock money laundering or hot money as he called it.
Ayan nga yan, di ko maintindihan yun eh. How is that? Go ahead.
Okay, he was saying that during the time of Pinoy, there is this huge amount of one of the factors that drove our economy then was that of the hot money during the time of Pinoy. Well, first and foremost, hot money, money laundering has been existing in our country since the time of Ferdinand Marcos. Even before him, I think, di ba? Because alam natin yan, paano pinapasok yan. Ngayon, high-tech tayo ngayon. Now, sir, Buxi, all you have to do is read more, and you will find out who are the administrations who have done their part in exacting laws, anti-money, yung AMLA laws natin, no? What's glaring, there was money laundering. What? Dipang, can I reply, Dipang? Yeah, sure. Go ahead, okay. Those were, what do you call this, hot money, hindi money laundering yon. They were very legal. The situation during that time was nagne-negative interest sa Europe. Kaya they had to find a place to park their money. It was during the time na dito sila nagpa-park sa Cambodia, sa Vietnam. A big amount of that came to the Philippines, dito pinark. Hindi money laundering yon. They were just trying to find a safe place to put their money kasi nagne-negative interest sa Europe. But the real driver of that economy was yung 7 trillion. You check the World Bank, 7 trillion ang smuggling during that time. Parang naging Hong Kong tayo. That maybe it's not kaya dapat anong tawag dito, siguro dapat pag-aralan natin yon na might as well open up the whole economy, babagsak na lang yung mga tariff. Yun ba? Kasi very protective matataas ang tariff natin ngayon That's what I was saying. It was a donut economy. It was a good economy. It was a fluke. And it was a donut economy, empty in the middle. That's all I was saying. Did give the answer, Tifan? Yeah, appreciated, Buxi. Well, my point naman, Buxi, is this. It's not just the one part of the economy, of the social progress that we have there that made it or made us an economic house during that time. You know naman that one. From the production, education, and everything. We have those also set in place. In fact, the opportunity we missed there is that the cost of money then was very, very low. That's why the consumer spending, the borrowing, consumer borrowing went sky high. The consumer spending talagang nag-drive ng economy kasi yung cost of money. Ang malungkot doon, hindi nagamit sa talagang full blast infrastructure. No, yun ang nakalungkot doon. No, that's the thing. Sana ginamit yung opportunity na yon. No, that's the thing there, Buxi. Now we have two basic principles. One that was used then, fiscal prudence, yun ang decision nila Compared to now, they're prone. No, from what I understand, yeah,
Oh, so right
From
now,
what I understand, Pinoy was more talagang mahirap, walang kurap. Kaya takot na takot siya mag-invest kasi parang ayaw niya yung may corruption. That I understand. Kaya kagaya sabi ni Pinay, nagkaroon ng analysis paralysis. Yun ang nangyari. Kaya lang, the opportunity was missed.
no, but I beg to disagree with that also, with that of Pinay. Because during that time, how did we start 2010, if you remember? We started the year negative. Everything was on negative, even the things that they were supposed to do that year, second half of that year, were negative.
Correct. Because Gloria was hit by the Thailand financial crisis, which infected the whole economy.
Wow.
Remember the financial crisis towards the end of Gloria, we were hit, hindi ba tumira si Soros ng yung ilan ba yung hinugot niya sa Thailand, which affected the whole global financial na-affectuhan siya kaya lumabas siya negative yung economy ni Gloria, but I remember.
See, here's the thing. The one that we are experiencing now, for every budget that we are going to have, we are now at 43% in terms of in order for us to have that kind of budget now for 2024 example, we have to borrow 2.7 trillion out of the 5.7. In terms of ratio, we're about 7.2% to GDP.
Dipang.
COVID, no? You
Ah.
have to blame that on the COVID.
Sandali. Yeah, Buksi Dandria. Dipang, you mentioned that 2.64 trillion we have to borrow to sustain a 5.77 trillion spending for 2024. Maraming pumupunan yan, hindi ko rin ma-figure out yan, ano. Does that mean we only have 3 trillion money available to spend and that's why we're borrowing 2.64 trillion aside from paying the scheduled payment of 1.5 trillion for the 2024? Mukhang naiintindihan mo yan. Paliwanag mo nga maigi, why are we borrowing the 2.64? Kasi wala akong makitang article that tells me exactly how much money we have available and why do we have to borrow 2.64 trillion na kinikriticize nila bakit tayo mangungutang kung nang mas malaki, dati ang inuutang lang natin is 1.4, 1.5, suddenly 2.64. Why is that? Paliwanag mga hindi ko lang makuha talaga Please tell me.
You know, this is the thing. I think it was October, November last year when they said that with the kind of budget that they're creating for 2024.
August, last year na sinabi nilang uutang. August pa lang, nilabas na nila yun. Yun ang na-research ko
September. So, they need to loan at least from foreign and local or source.
Yeah.
2.6, 2.7 trillion. So, that means our capacity right now does not support the whole budget of 5.7. So kailangan natin, tama ka doon, di ba? So hahabulin natin, kumbaga yung future, 2024, yung utang natin from the future. Kasi babayaran natin yan the next future But the thing is, our debt service ratio has already been in the, sabihin natin, 60-61%. It is not right to compare us to first world countries, saying like Japan, US, they have 234. Matataas ang mga production ng mga yan Matataas yung mga capacity ng mga yan to pay. Unlike us, di ba? Tumataas yung utang natin, bumababa yung production. Tumataas yung utang natin, bumababa yung dollar earning capacity natin. Right now, ang consistent lang, OFW. That's consistent. Yung manufacturing natin, we're threatened in all flights. Di ba? Mahirap. Di ba? So, right now, sabi nga ni Pacquiao, di ba?
hindi ko maintindihan tong gobyerno na to, pera lang 3 trillion, ang kung gumastos 5 trillion. Yun ang mga comment niya during the when he was campaigning. But we are here already. And who's at fault at that? From fiscal prudence, yung nga sinasabi ko kay Boxy, now we are into a debt-prone economy. Kung hindi gagastos ang government, hindi tataas ang expenditures ng mga tao. Kung hindi siya maglalabas ng infrastructure development programs, money, seeking out money, kahit tayo sabihin mo na yung ayuda, hindi uusad ang ekonomiya. So, yung mga things niyan, very glaring yan this time. So, tingnan mo, last 2 weeks ago, Chief, ano sabi ng NEDA? We have to take a step backward or we have to stop for a moment in releasing infra budgets. Why? Because they have to consolidate the debts. Kasi nagsabi na ang World Bank emerging economies are one of the, diba? Buksi nakakatakot, diba? Pagka, buti hindi nila sinasabi masyado. Diba? Diba? Paano basta pera government?
Pero alam lang, main component lang yung mga percentage. Limited ang bureaucracy natin para tumakas doon ng army. Correct. That's the thing that parang bigla.
Okay, let's give it to Tahanan naman. Ano? Thank you, Dipang, and thank you, Buxi. Napakaganda ng sinabi ko because I'm trying to analyze the 2.64. I try to reason out bakit, pero pag-aaralan pa natin, Dipang, if you could send me some more information as to why we only have so much and why we are trying to borrow that 2.64, I will really appreciate that. This way, I'd be able to discuss that maybe tomorrow or next week. Go ahead, Tahanan.
Yeah, ang sasabi ko lang yung economy kasi is both external and internal. So medyo siya, we can see it as disadvantageous. The other would say it's advantageous. All I can say is that the GDP to rate ratio is they're about 60%. So I trust the Philippines financial or fiscal management or the Banco Central of the Pilipinas, and then yung continuity lang ng selection natin ng mga magagaling na tao at honoraring tao na nasa finance side since Gloria to up to now. So medyo naman sila, hindi naman sila pabaya. Kung utang kasi, you have to take risk to gain something. So it's risk reward. So I leave that to the fiscal managers for that 3. So 60% is not that bad. Ito may mga IMF na nagsasabi, it's just an opinion. And then ang India din nagsasabi na we will not follow IMF or we did not believe IMF's one. So may mga opinion and whatnot. But kung mangutang tayo, let's say in treasury bills or USD denominated treasury bills, pinag-isipan na naman siguro yan. I'm not an expert, although I have finance and accounting background, but I'm not an expert of the overall economy of the country. So, just with tawag nito. May mga hindi full trust lang yung may mga criticisms, but it's valid. But when we say it's like we're going down the drain, hindi naman siguro. So 60% of the GDP is not that bad. So, yun.
Tahanan, ang sinasabi nila is this 2.64 trillion loan is in favor of the 75% ng mga local banks na para daw kumita lang ang mga cronies and oligarchs and all these local banks. Kaya nagtataka ako okay? Nangungutang tayo to sustain the economy and at the same time, para bayaran yung future na yung planned payments and yung mapondohan yung mga specific departments, di ba? Tapos biglang may pronouncement nga si Amy na wala daw yung infra pero meron namang budget. So is the propaganda against and for the government working well? Ganun ba nangyayari? Propaganda laban sa propaganda? Go ahead.
Ng GDP. So dati yung 5 pesos natin sa infra magiging, because of the GDP, magiging 60%. So may mga long-term infras dapat so when it's legislated, it's law. Kung sinasabi mong i-realign, na-realign, then it's another thing. Kasi it's a realignment, it's a legislative process din kasi. So pag sinabi na naman natin na nangutang at yung funds pinaflow for the cronies ay medyo medyo malayo natin sa
Hindi realistic yung sinasabi na ganun.
kasi nga may mga board yung mga monetary fiscal natin, may isa sa kanila magrereklamo if the thinking is towards the detriment of the country or its economy. So hindi, medyo mahaba pa yan kasi mga propaganda lang naman yan.
Okay, good. I'd like to hear that na talagang, kasi yun ang nasa isip ko, propaganda but I wanna be able to have the facts na hindi ko pwedeng sabihin lang na propaganda lang yan. I need to be able to prove na yun ang expected forecast na 0.5.77 to sustain that what we're trying to achieve as the GDP, yung pinoforecast nila na ganito is we have to do this borrowing. Okay, thank you. Bong, ikaw naman, and then Buxi again.
Tama naman yan siya, Paano din. Kasi meron kasi mga proyekto ng long-term ito. Yung kay Duterte noon, alibag ng semento noon, 100 ngayon, 150 na. So, saan pupunin ang budget noon? So, yun yung mga dapat i-considera. Tapos pangalawa, bakit 2.66 million, di ba? 2.6 trillion?
Yeah, 2.64.
Income natin, revenue ng national government, every year is 3 trillion lang.
Yes.
Ano mga susustain ng mga services natin, dapat din sa GDP, tapos yung mga gagastusin pa, whatever. Yun lang ang tanong. Kaya nga, di ba, nagkaroon ng tax ng tax. Para yung saan ng tax, para makatanggap tayo ng mga revenue. Hindi naman papayag administrasyon, whatever, kasi nga, mamupupundan naman sa atin yan, sa mga consumer. Yun yung iba kasi yan, hindi kasi sila ang tinitingnan nila yung numero, pero hindi nila inaalam kung magkano yung numero pumapasok. Tama rin si Bobsy, tinasa ng sweldo ng gobyerno, natin, mga kasandalugan, wala namang revenue sa National Police o sa natanglakas, hindi kagaya sa kagaya ng postal. Na-recover yung gastos nila sa mga empleyado kasi may revenue doon. Kagaya naman sa BCBA, kaya meron tayong panggastos sa programa natin ng infrastructure in terms of sa Pilipinas, sa natanglakas natin kasi meron tayo sa BCBA na mag-i-income din. Tapos tingnan natin kung ilan yung GOCC na mag-i-income ang DSWD na nag-i-income ba? Wala din naman. Ito nagbibigay tayo ng pera. Ito mga ayuda. Walang GOCC. So, ang dami. Ang dami nating ahensya na pinupundukan at ilan na yung ahensya ang kumikita. Yun yung hindi naintindihan ng iba. Ewan ko lang kung naintindihan nila. Kung dito sa kuryente, sa electrification o dito sa DUI natin, meron tayong makukuha dyan konti. Yun nga yun, tax lang doon dahil doon tayo kumikita pero kulang hindi pa rin sapat. Kaya nga nagtapagami ba, bakit daw itong tawag ka nito, kumikita naman ng naiya, ng sobra-sobra, bakit hindi nila yung gagamitin para doon sa renovation at pagkakaroon. Hindi nila naintindihan na kulang tayo sa revenue. Kung babawasan pa yung revenue na yun at ilalaan dyan, ilan ang services ang masasagasaan. Kaya patuloy tayong magmutang. Hanggat hindi natin na-achieve, hindi magiging balanse. Tama na siya si tahanan Hanggat hindi nagiging improved yung export natin through manufacturing, hindi tayo mag-earn ng...
That's why, Bong, you are not in favor of the 100 pesos wage hike dahil makaka-apekto sa inflation at saka sa ating economy itself dahil maapekto ng mga malalaking kumpanya. Is that correct?
Hindi naman malaki. Mas maliliit na kumpanya yung nasa micro.
Okay. And should I take it as you're also against the idea of Speaker Martin Romualdez na yung coverage of PhilHealth is taasan to 50% across the board na para bang napakalaki naman ang sasagutin ng PhilHealth meron na mga medical coverage sa mga kumpanya at ang mga tao naman meron namang sumusuporta sa kanila aside from all the other social services provided by the government. When in fact, kaya nga dinagdagan ni President Duterte yung allocation sa PhilHealth galing sa PAGCOR of which dapat diretso na lang sa National Treasury, hinati 50% goes to PhilHealth. Yun ba ang directed?
Kailangan matasan yung PhilHealth.
Hmm.
Kung sa tama ang
Oh.
pera, ilan na ba ang iskandalo sa PhilHealth?
Ngayon, kaya yun ang iniisip ng iba, bakit tataas yata yung ganun, baka naman mapunta lang sa kung saan.
Tapos then, alam mo, di ba ang PhilHealth, bakit sila nagtataas? Yun ang dapat ang itanong natin. Kasi ang PhilHealth kasi, para tumaas yung nila, kita nila, at para maibigay ang tamang serbisyo sa mga, kaya natin na registrado tayo sa PhilHealth, nilalagay nila yan sa negosyo. So, kung saan yung makikita ang revenue, dagdag yun sa kanilang pondo. Tapos, ang sweldo ng mga nakaupo dyan, magkano? Yun yung alamin natin. Akala mo, ang sweldo ng isang talagang grabe. So, yun yung dapat punahin. Wala namang problema kung magdagdag kasi kung ibabalik naman yan sa tawag ganito sa Pilipino, di mas maganda kung 50% ang sasagutin. Kasi magkano bang sinasagot ng bilat ngayon? Pag magkasakit ang isang tao.
Depende.
Pag magkasakit, halos 1.2 sa ospital. Ilan na ang makakawin ng pilit nun? Nasa dapat sagot na lang sana ng yun.
Okay. Guys, nandito pala si John, si Patriot. Ito, the reason I invited him, nakita natin siya nagsalita. Ito, yung tungkol sa vilification of the US. John, I'm giving you the mic. Yesterday, you had said something, and I know you were driving, so you weren't able to discuss in length or deeper yung nangyayari doon sa sinabi nung isa, si Eric Cavalida, na you take offense dahil sinabi niya, pinagpapatay ang mga Mindanaoans. No? And earlier, I mentioned, isa sa mga issues ni Duterte dun sa anti-US stance niya is number 1, yung pag naharas siya dyan sa airport sa Los Angeles. Number 2, yung CIA na kinuha raw yung tao na iniimbestigahan, according to him, is dinukot daw ng CIA operatives at nawala na. Imbes na ma-prosecute sa Davao City, kung whoever that person is involved sa kung ano-ano man. Tapos yung pangatlo, yung stance ni Obama, kaya niya minura si Obama because of so and so going on. At pang-apat, yung Mindanao issue niya na yung lola niya is brief him or lectured him about the evil that the US has done in 1901 to 1906 against the 600 people. At panglima, yung Dabalaging Bells na hindi binigay ng US, na sa akin naman, pinaliwanag ko yung stance ng mga Pilipino, bakit dapat isoli, at yun namang mga Amerikano na against na isoli dahil bilang military people, they want to keep that as part of their war booty. Pero yung mga apo at mga anak, sinabi sa kanila, kalokohan, matagal na yung gera na yan, bakit hindi nyo isole? Hindi naman sa atin yan. Tapos na yung mga pride nila. That's 100 years na hindi na natin inaan yan na i-display pa ba natin yan dyan? So they were able to say, let's return it. So okay, ang punto ko palagi, it's always both sides, hindi pwedeng one side lang. I'm trying to look at the sides of the Filipinos who were trying for the Balanging Bells na isole, at yun namang mga Amerikano na against dahil yun ang tradition nila, it's a war booty. At the same time, sinabi naman ng mga apo at mga mag-anak na, hey, it's time to return because patay na yung lolo ko, yung tatay mo, at kung sino-sino pa, na wala na tayong pakialam sa mga dyan, nandiyan lang yan, let's give it back to the Filipinos where it belongs. Ganun lang ang stance ko. Now, si Patriot, ikaw ba, ano bang sa tingin mo? Did the vilification of the US and pivot to China fail during the Duterte's time? I'm putting you on the spot, John. Ambassador. John, pick up the mic. Like, are you driving? Are you unlocking? Oh, 8 o'clock, man, you should be at work half an hour ago. Ayaw na dyan eh. Anyway, Booksy, ikaw ba? Ano bang film mo dyan? Yung vilification. Did it happen or is it just in my mind? Hmm. Ibang klase ano na different perspective. Tama naman. Kailangan intindihin mo yung mga ibang perspective.
14 laws of power. Kaya sinasabi ni Duterte yan. I never understood him until I read that book.
The strategy and the power.
Ang style niya, kaya tawag kong management by brinkmanship, mag-solve siya ng solution. Magbigay ng solution. He swings the pendulum all the way to the other side.
Propaganda. Propaganda to the extreme.
I will tell you what. Duterte, for example, attacks the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Pero if you dig deep down, who is the biggest contributor or donor to the seminary sa Davao?
Duterte.
Duterte's.
I didn't say
I
that.
will tell you what.
I didn't say that.
Yeah. And then you look kung anong tawag dito. I forgot what I was about to say. Ganun siya eh. Kagaya yun sa itong EJK. Ano yun eh. Papalabasin niya, butangero siya and all these things. But sa paper, you look at the operating manual. Wala yung malayo sa ano niya. Ano siya, management by brinkmanship.
Asikasuhin niya mga tao, pupunta niya yung mahihirap, makikipagsayaw siya sa mga bata, and then he attacks the other people.
Sasabihin niya, because I kind of met him twice already. Patanda-tawa yan, mabait. Mabait. These things, kaya yung persona niya in public, ibang-iba sa yung pag na-meet mo siya. Anong tawag dito eh, nakakatawa nga eh, ibang klase. But it's all in the 48 laws of power. Ano pa yan yung in charge ng Bureau of Custom dati, yung during his time was Dulay. Ano yun eh, leader ng charismatic movement. Check mo kung sinong umaatet ng charismatic movement. Si Duterte.
That's why I call him a phenomenon. Dahil talaga yung attraction ng tao sa kanya, his pronouncement is different from what the Davao people are saying. Yung Davao City, talagang they revere him as God because of what he did for his region and his district. Pero pagdating sa national stage, iba ang sinasabi niya, kaya nag-aakagulat, pero people believe in him.
Exactly. Kita mo, nung leftist daw siya, kinakausap niya si Joma. Pero nung sabi ni Joma, let's share the government para ma-move in natin sa maging communist. Ayaw niya, galit na galit siya. Pero during his time, as a mayor, ang coordination niya was with the most brutal, the bloodthirstiest commander sa si Parago. You know what happened there? Ang nangyari, he made a deal with Parago kasi talagang wild west ang Davao City noon eh. He made a deal. Sabi niya, susuportahan ko yung grupo mo so that they will eat 3 times a day. Pero nagkaroon dito ng gulo dito sa sa Davao. Giyera tayo, sabi niya. Tapos rinagaluhan pa niya every month ng isang box ng sigarilyo si Parago. Yung Parago na yan was the guy responsible for killing 100 people sa church. Pumasok yan, minasindad lahat yan, patay lahat yung nandun sa loob. Bloodthirsty yan. Dating Scout Ranger yan, naging NPA. You know what happened after that? Kaya naging malinis ang Davao, walang ka-crime. Basta nagkaroon ng crime, who hits the criminal? Kesyo police yan o criminal? It's the Sparrow units of Parago. Yun.
Okay.
Have you heard that story? Kaya takot na takot yung Parago kasi baka gustong-gusto niya yung deal na yun kasi buhay yung mga tao niya. Ayaw niya masira. Kaya Parago sends his guys to look for the criminal and kill them. Kaya yung sinasabing Davao Death Squad, those were NPAs.
Wow. Bagong ano yan, ha?
That's the story.
Okay.
That's the story. Kaya maghanap lahat kayo ng Davao Death Squad, hindi nyo makahanap yan. Kasi Sparrow unit yan.
Sparrow, talagang ano, ha?
So in that case, he was lucky. Hinahanap niya yung kay Joma to make that deal. Kaya lang yung Joma was more interested in converting the Philippines into a communist state. Doon hindi na siya mag-agree.
Yeah.
Enigma si Duterte.
That's what I call him, enigmatic.
Sa kanya yung ICC. Tingnan mo, isuswing niya yung pendulum. Oh, ganun pala. Sige, magsisi-session kami sa Mindanao. Ganun ang swing ng pendulum niya. Pero gagawin niya, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a matter of rhetorics. I've been saying that all along. Go ahead, Tahanan. You raise your hand. Bigyan natin kay Tahanan.
Balik-balik ang doon sa kasi nga, medyo meron tayong ano ba yun? Or share of missing out. So, pag sinabing, Singapore, ganito, gusto din natin, magkaroon tayo ng Singapore. So, nakita ko yung retweet mo kay tawag mo. Sino ba yung business analyst na si Manggun?
Okay, si Manggun, yung comparison niya palagi.
Sa Singapore tayo, sa Singapore hindi. Sabihin, abot na lang ako sa form of government. Siguro ang China, hindi mo pwedeng magiging demokrasya yun.
Never.
Kasi kung i-change mo yung democracy, magkagulo-gulo sila.
Yeah.
So, yung system ng government nila is good for themselves. So, yung system of government naman ng Singapore, maliit sila na country, wala pang silang sariling tubig. They have to be authoritarian or else you will not survive. So, with all the propaganda in Singapore and whatnot, hindi talaga sila ganun although yung economy nila, because yung mga head offices is nandun sa British or mga UK head offices nandun sa Singapore, then mataas ang nila, ang taas ng ito, nakita sa atin. But you won't be getting there. So, it's not yung comparison kasi natin na si ganun, merong ganyan. Parang kapitbahay natin na si ganun, merong ganyan. Gusto ibang karoon.
Pero US lucky pa rin yung Singapore, no? And the reason I say that is they still allow US use of the faiiled, which is the Royal Air Force of Singapore. And the same thing with Changi and Sembawang, nandiyan pa rin ang US forces, nandiyan pa rin yung tropa ko, officer in charge, nakatira sa military housing ng Singapore. Because Singapore may be an independent state, but at the same time, they still cater to the US wings. Yun lang. Go ahead, Tiana, tuloy mo.
Space sa airport nila. So, hindi naman natin sinabi na masama ang Yun nga lang sa mga dealings, medyo kasi hindi tayo pumatay sa sarili nating paanan. Sasabihin natin, mayroon tayong plan. Dapat fair lang. Parang ganun. If you're gonna leverage us in the issue of Taiwan due to economic reasons, not necessarily war, you have to give us something, not just aid. Yun lang sa akin.
Leverage.
Leverage nga. Ito pa.
Yung sa EDCA, kung mag-expire na naman yan, para sa akin, we should always gain advantage over something. Hindi tayo payag lang ng payag. Hindi ko sinasabi na it's right or wrong, but if we're gonna do it, we might as well get the most out of any dealings in favor of the Philippines. Yun ang lagi kong stance. Whether it's pivot to China, dapat ibigay nila ng gusto ang para sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, pagdating sa US, wag nating sisihin na hindi tayo nag-improve dahil they are trying to restrict us and they're giving us chains. We can do what we have to do and we can do what we need to do. And Duterte tried to do that. Yun nga lang, ang nangyari sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, it came to a point wherein, boss, mahirap talaga gawin yung tanggalin yung BFA because we rely so much. Wala pa tayong ganito, ganyan. So, after, siguro, after 2021, na-realize niya he's going against the forces of the military himself. I mean, yung mga tao niya na oo nga, no? Tapos yung Russian failure pa, yung mga baril nila, yung mga ammunitions, and the Chinese, siguro, and then the COVID happened. So many things happened na para bang nature's way of telling him, well, not so, yeah, I mean, not this time, maybe some other time. So, ganun lang. Parang sa akin, ayun lang. Go ahead, Edward muna uli. At yun pala, ano na yung speaker na Edward eh. Hmm. Okay? Wow, yun naman ang inano mo ha. Bigyan tayo ng bakon. Akala ko, hino-hold tayo ng ang sinasabi ni tawag dito from Noxin and everything else, parang ang ano diyan is at the time sabi ni Trump, ito muna kay Trump. We're not gonna give vaccines to anyone other than the Americans, and even those produced in Europe must be given to the Americans first. Pero yung sinasabi mo nga, yung kay Babes Romualdez, okay, paano yan? Hmm. Ayan, yung unang-una, that's the, Hmm.
Bago mag-event, di ba?
1 year.
Oh, yeah. Di ba? Pero US, nirestore yung visa ni Bato. Kaya pwede niya i-google yan. Dito,
Yeah, binigay yan, yeah. Oh.
Ginawang pang-blackmail ni Duterte sa Amerika yan para bigyan tayo ng Pfizer. Yan, pwede nyo rin i-google yan.
So kaya na tinerminate yung suspension ng BFA. Okay, so ibig sabihin, it failed. Dahil nga ang pinasabi niya, yung from the very beginning, yung Balanginga Bells at yung galit niya sa US, so and so, and later on, nagkaroon ng COVID for him to be able to surrender his willpower dahil lumalabas. Sabi mo nga, kailangan to. Yun ang nga sinasabi ko. Because of COVID, everything else failed. Okay, determinado. Yeah, determinado siya. Nagkaroon ng COVID, binigay na yung vaccines, and he still has about 18 months in power to go ahead. Okay, nakuha na namin yung vaccines. Tuloy-tuloy tayo ulit. Tanggalin na natin. Why did he sign agreements to purchase yung ano ba yung binili niya na mga armas galing sa ano ba, submarine or something else? Helicopters? Hindi, wag na yung sa Russia, yung sa US nang, yung pinagbibili niya. Sa Russia rin, yeah, sa Russia rin, at saka sa Europe. Ayan. Yeah. Parang pwede na. Hindi ka pwedeng bumili.
Parang ganun yan eh.
Yeah. So, ibig sabihin, Edward, astig talaga ang US pag sinabi nilang, oy, pipindutin lang kita, pipitingin kita, huwag kang poporma dyan. He failed again. Di ba yun ang sinasabi ko? When the giants actually say or do something,
na nag-fail, di ba? Hindi ganun eh, di ba? Sa law applies to every country, not only to the Philippines.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then America's adversary through Sanctions Act, di ba? Naipit. No? Napilitan tayo bumili ng Black Hawk sa Poland, hindi sa
Yeah,
Amerika.
yeah pala yun sa Poland. Yeah, sa Europe inisip ko. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Which tells us na ano,
So, yung sa Russia,
2 billion.
na
2 billion, 2 billion. Wala na. It's a part of a contract. In order na eh. Yeah, yeah. Yun yung tanggapin, wala tayong magagawa. Tama. Yeah, wala tayong habol eh. So which tells us we're still a young and too small of a country to banggaation sa US. Hindi pa tayo handa. Go ahead, Bong.
PFA, si Duterte, kasama yan sa Black Hawk.
Hmm.
Ang problema, pasang sanction, si Duterte nag-ship dito ngayon sa Israel na bumili ng long arms.
Ng mga small arms, yung mga
Harmonite, basta na, mga automatic na panggamit sa, yun, isa rin yun. Hindi na pwede mo, hindi lang 1 billion yan, alam ko nasa 10 o 5 billion.
Iba pa yan.
Tsaka ganit sa Canada kasi yung bumibili tayo ng Bell helicopters. Sabi ng Canada,
Iba naman to. Yeah.
Sa Russia, di ba?
Okay, Ed, alam mo naman tayo, open tayo dyan. What have we learned as a small country, regardless of how independent we are, when we are trying to enforce the political will of a president? Are we big enough? Are we strong enough to be able to muscle our way out of the US, out of the Western powers that be?
Sa accepted ang India dyan. Kasi ang India, karamihan ng so, syempre, pag bibili sila ng spare part, bala, kailangan sa Russia sila bumili.
Kaya nga
Sa Amerika, hindi pwede isalin yan. Ang structure namin, accepted sila. Kasi malakas na India. Diba? Kaya mag-demand.
At saka India is a strategic location in itself, being napakalaki nila, at saka talaga namang may economy sila enough to be able to counter China, enough to be able to, nakita mo nga, BRICS, dyan ang India, because the US acknowledges, yung nga nirereklamo ng iba, bakit daw ang India, bakit ang Pakistan, mas malaki ang binibigay ng US, because US knows what they can derive, or what they can get, or what they can extort out of India and Pakistan. Sa Pilipinas, nandito lang tayo mag-isa, wala naman tayong malaking borders, wala naman tayong malaking population, wala naman tayong malaking economy to be able to say, hey, what about us? Para sa akin, yun lang ang nakikita ka. Go ahead, Tahanan.
Are we strong? Being a small country, are we ready to muscle ourselves? No, not necessarily, because not at that vantage point. Kasi nga, ganito whatever we have to leverage. Yun lang. Gano'n tayo kaliit. So, sinasabi natin earlier na bakit ang Japan tinutulungan ng US to parang umamin after the World War II. May mga maraming rason. We can talk about it all night till the cows come home, but First, maraming factors, marami siyang ano, but in the sa pangkalahatan, dahil meron talagang kayong tendency na subservience, pagsabi pa lang parang ang US is ano na natin, na pag sinabi natin na para tayong mga kasambahay, na pag sinabi ng amo, gagawin mo yan, gagawin natin. Hindi na natin tinitingnan kung ano yan yung mga bargaining at leverage natin. So sabihin na natin sa Taiwan, kaliit ng Taiwan, bakit sila yung inuuna sa chip manufacturing ng US? So may mga question mark, I don't have all the answers for that. But sinasabi na natin na imbis na ang Japan being helped out by US economically because meron na silang mga industries, medyo busy, nandiyon na yun sa yung manufacturing nila since before they were defeated in World War II. So meron na silang mga potentials, nakikita yun na kayang babangunin. And in the culture of the Japanese itself, workaholic sila. So may mga ganong factor na sa Filipino side, meron din naman nating factor na ma-leverage natin. Na magsasabi natin, oo nga, kasi nga subservience tayo, hindi natin tinitingnan kung ano yung strength and weaknesses natin. Nandun lang tayo sa weak tayo, hindi natin kaya. Therefore, sunod-sunod lang tayo. Kasi in the US structure, may mga kinakausap natin na they are not even decision makers. Nabuoto sila, hindi sila decision makers. Kung mo, oo tayo agad. So, nung dumating naman dito si Pompeo, maayos naman yung pakikitungo niya sa ate. Tina-challenge pa nga siya nung interview sa DFA na bakit hindi mo question kay Duterte yung mga human rights abuses, blah. Siya pa nga nag-block ng kasi naintindihan niya. So, yung mga ganong na at the lower level pa lang tayo, umuo na tayo, medyo cheap na tayo. Wala na tayo. Pag ganun kasi, nakikipag-psychoanalyze yung mga negotiator at the bottom level pa lang, umuo na tayo, paano tayo tataas? Kaya si Duterte ang strategy niya, call it verify or not, pero yung mga cabinet niya, alam niya na nakipag-usap yun sa US na ini-interpret yung mga moves niya under level. Pero yung under level pa na hindi naman sila decision maker, umuuko na tayo. Wala na, hindi na umaabot sa kaya nyo i-manage yan. Sige, kaya nyo ng idadaan mo sa Congress na i-ano natin si Duterte na ipagbawan natin ang sale ng armas. O doon pa lang, na tayo, bihano na tayo. So, mga ganong, give and take, pressure from both ends, hindi yung parang ang nakikita kasi natin sa ngayon na parang hindi pa sinasabi, oo na tayo, medyo bihano.
Alright. Bong at Captain Jack, kayo naman.
Sa akin kasi, ngayon kasi yung failure natin, maraming failure na talaga, aminin natin hindi yan. Ay naging successful, maraming failure, and every president na lang naman, hindi talaga niya matugunan lahat talaga. Paala natin na kaya niya. So, yung isang, yung tingnan natin, pagkikipag-aliado natin, pagkiling sa Amerikano. So, nabigyan tayo ng, yung ganito, yung nuclear cooperation 1, 2, 3. So, napirmahan na yan. So, yun yung inaasam natin na magkaroon tayo para maging kurang din. Pangalawa, yung EDCA natin, nagkaroon pang lumalakas ang sandatang lakas natin din. Kasi, yung mga kalyado ng Amerikano, nag-i-aid sa atin ng mga armas na hindi nangyayari noon. Pagmatlo, mineral natin ngayon ay papasok na yung processing plant na hindi pinasok noon. So, sino-sino to? Mga kalyado rin ng Amerika, puti. Taiwan, pagpasok dito. Itong na-post ko ngayon, yung sa Greenport, kung tawagin natin sa camper at saka sa electric battery. Saka yung sa rare earth minerals natin yung South Korea, punta tayo ng planta. Sinod na rin yun, joint venture yun, sa Lago de Oro. So, yun yung mga nakakakuha tayo ng leverage. Ang Amerika, nakakakuha ng leverage sa atin dahil sa strategic position natin, nagtayo sila ng ipagkalyado sa sandatang lakas natin. Tayo naman, nakakuha rin tayo ng leverage sa kanila. Itong mga kalyado nila ay makakuha tayo ng investment regarding naman sa processing plant, yan ang kulang natin eh. Kasi ang mga core natin, hindi natin nilalabas. Pagbalik dito sa atin, kasi nandito yung manufacturing natin, babalik dito sa atin, ay semi-finished product, kagaya ng yero. Magdala ka ng iron ore doon sa mayroon tayong ng team dito, yung para sa yero, yung lata, mining. Dadalhin din sa China, pagdating dito, naka-point. Pagdating dito, pwede nang gawing dilata, manufacturing natin sa lata, para din sa sardinas natin, dito na ginagawa. Pero ang raw materials, galing sa atin. Yun yung kulang. Tapos yung renewable energy natin ngayon, ay lumaki talaga, as in lumaki. Talagang masukan. Yun yung makikita natin na hindi naging successful yung pag-administrasyon.
Okay.
Sobrang
Kinulang ng oras dahil sa COVID, Bong. It would have been possible, it would have been successful, or it would have been a greater. Ay, hindi rin. Kulang ba sa... Oh, ano bang pagkukulang kung sakaling na walang COVID? What would have happened?
Sigurado ba tayo na
Because of the drug war, human rights.
Hindi naman ang ginawa ni Gloria. Si Gloria kumigil sa China, kumigil sa Amerika. Anong investment na pumasok?
Pareho.
Si Pinoy, saan siya kumiling sa Amerikano? Anong investment na pumasok? Si Duterte, saan ka kumiling sa China? Anong pumasok na investment?
Oo. Ay. Pero malaki ang naman ang natin malaki ang trade natin sa China. Kumbaga sa they sell us. Kulang tayo sa trade imbalance. Yeah, trade imbalance. Yeah. Kayang gumagastos. Correct, dahil sa dami ng Shopee and Lazada, ang mga Pilipino, actually, itong misis ko, ginagamit na ngayon yung Temu dito sa US. What the fuck is going on? Puro mga China-made na mga binibili ng misis ko. That's why I don't buy anything. I use the same shirt, the same underwear that I had the last 10 years.
Kasi isipin mo, Chipra, ang laki ng, ang China, number 1 sila sa manufacturing.
Oo, laki ng family nila ng population eh.
Wala. Yung sa nickel, meron sila dito, yung Nickel Asia. Sila pa meron. Pangalawa, yung dito sa aluminum, yung gumagawa sa Leyte. Yung pangalan pa nga to, Korea. Sila dyan ng aluminum. Tapos at saka itong Mediacor, Mediacor, sila ang bumili ng panso para dito mag-processing. So,
Pero may
walang manufacturing, walang processing plant ang China na nilagay dito. Wala. Mas ang Hapon pa, nagtayo ang marami dito ng manufacturing, pati yung chairman. Ang EU, meron tayo rito, manufacturing. Ang tumayo na ngayon ng manufacturing na planta, Pilipino pa. Ito nga si binuksan sa tama, yung bukas lang sa Batangas.
Sino yung Pilipino niyan? Si Gokong Wei. Okay.
Sila na yung plastic king sa Pilipinas.
Oh, hindi na sigat yan?
Kasi siya na ang magbukas ngayon dito sa atin ng petrochemical.
Sino yung nagtayo sa Batangas? Di ba Gokong Wei din yun, di ba?
Si Gokong Wei nga, hindi. Kasi dati, ang plastic king natin, si Gatchalian.
Oo.
Hindi na si Gatchalian, si Gokong Wei na. Kasi meron lang sariling petrochemical na tinayo dyan, nag-open ng plate nila ata.
Sa Batangas, nung panahon ng chopper issue na nawawala si Presidente dahil nag-attend ng parang ribbon cutting dyan sa Batangas. And to travel from Batangas to the concert site, alam nila na bago ka dumaan dyan sa ibus ang oras mo dyan eh. So that's my assumption, hindi, I'm not calling it factual. My assumption is ginamit na yung helicopter papunta sa Batangas and then from Batangas to the concert site. Ang iniisip ko, I'm not sure. Oh yeah.
So, yun yung saan ba tayo kikilig talaga in terms of investment? in terms of FDI, yun yung magiging bintahe kasi. Kaya nakikita mo yun, nagbabalanse si Pangulong Bongbong. Doon na 80% ng killing niya sa 75% ng killing niya sa Amerikano. Sa China, 20 to 30% lang. At least hindi siya nakagaya ni Duterte na almost kulang-kulang 100% ang pag-killing niya talaga.
Okay.
Kaya wala tayong investment in terms of yung manufacturing pumasok.
Okay, thank you, Bong. Jack, bigyan natin kay Jack at kay Tahanan. Thank you, Bong. Jack, ikaw naman, and then back to Tahanan.
Usapan nyo kanina regarding sa military, which is also partly connected to the US narrative, no? Ang Japan kasi, kaya talagang tinutulungan ng Amerika is, yun nga, dahil binomba nila ng which is sinasabi ng history nila na talagang hindi nila gusto pero nagawa nila dahil para matigil yung gera. Second reason, ang nakikita ko kung bakit tinutulungan nila ang Japan, kasi wala namang mga komunista ron eh. Walang mga nanggugulo. So, after World War II, yun na nga, ang ginawa ng Japan, nagpayaman, and they took advantage of the help of the United States. Tayo rito, paano tutulong agad ang Amerika sa atin? Unang-una, pinalayas natin sila. O edi, siyempre, ano ang asahan mo sa sitwasyon na yan? Siyempre, hindi basta-basta magtitiwala ulit yan. Diba? Kaya yung sa helicopter issue, siyempre, mas gusto nila na tayo sa kanila bumili para makikita kung meron tayong tiwala sa kanila o wala. Or at least, kahit paano kung talagang tinatanggap natin sila o hindi. Diba? So, so if we apply it to our situation, talagang hindi basta-basta tutulong sa atin ang Amerika dahil unang-una, yung CPP, NTF issue na yan, local yan. Siyempre, iiwas silang masabit dyan. Diba? Kaya nga nung nandito ang Amerikano sa Clark at sa Subic, kahit pa paano magandang bagay yun dahil somehow deterrent yun. Kaso wala pinalayas natin. So ito ngayon ng mga CPP, NPA, malakas ang loob. Kaya sabi ko kanina earlier, if we have political stability and we can choose what alignment we will go through, palagay ko yung Amerika na yan, oras na kailangan natin ng tulong, tutulong yan. Yun nga lang, because of our situation, also, yung sa ating saligang batas na napakaraming ambiguity, wala, talagang hindi basta tutulong yan. Kasi syempre alam nila kung anong kahihit na ng isang bata na gulo. So yan ang mga isa sa mga bagay na nakikita ko. But then again, the Western culture somehow is the best alignment that we can go to. Wala namang iba unless otherwise gusto natin ng dictatorship or authoritarian regime, di wala, di magcha-China tayo pagka ganon. Diba? So, for me, mas gusto ko yung malaya tayo. Yung kahit paano balanse lahat. And you can only find that in the Western culture. So, yun lang. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Buxi. And then after that, last one, Tahanan. And then Edward, tapos wrap it up. Okay, go ahead, Buxi, Tahanan, and then Edward. Last comments. Buxi.
Kung magkakaroon tayo. Kasi I don't know if you have read the NSSM security memorandum.
CIA attention is nasabi natin. Marcos is getting bigger. So. Go ahead, Tahanan, and then Edward, and then that's it.
It's either or. You're with us or against us. Parang ganun. Kung pipili ka ng China, whether it's economic advantage, then you are not siding with the US. Hindi kasi ganun ang mentality. Sasabihin na natin na may mga manufacturing. Ang mga manufacturing din, hindi naman sila nag-dictated by the US directly, even Elon Musk. Hindi siya dictated by the US directly when he said, I will not pull out my investment in China. Kasi nga wala ngang separation ng China at saka US in terms of economy. So let's not be confused on that failure and pivot and yung sa US. Kasi ang sa US is geopolitical. Alam naman natin na ang US, naglalagay talaga yan ng bases everywhere to their advantage geopolitically. So pag may mga negotiations na yan, which is military in nature, na nagiging naman yung nag-boost yung economy nila through military. Sales ng mga jets, mga munitions and whatnot. So ganun. So mga ganung bagay, hindi na natin yan. Ang sa akin lang is we have to take advantage of our leverage. Kasi nga, tayo is as a small nation as we are, we have advantage that the Americans wanted. Ang decision kasi sa atin ng ngayon, current admin, is that hindi pa nga sinasabi oo na. Yun ang medyo kulang sa kulang sa paninindigan na hey, hindi naman natin sinasabi na ngayon, lumalaki ka na, lumalaban ka na, hindi naman ganon. We just take our fair share. Kasi nga, we have a strategic advantage over in the ASEAN region. Location-wise, ganun lang naman yun eh. Kasi nga, magkano ang budget nila sa aircraft carrier. No, ngayon, kung worst comes to worst yung Taiwan and China, anong interest nila doon? So, pag naglagay sila ng site dito sa mas economically advantageous and logistically advantageous sa kanila kaysa mag-rubing pa yung carrier nila. So, may mga ganun na reality na hindi sinasabi natin na nagmamarunong tayo. Meron lang tayong privilege. Yun lang. Na kung makikita mo kasi na hindi mo na yan kailangan bigyan ng sahod, susunod na yan. Sasabihin natin na, this manufacturing. No, ang mga manufacturing businesses, first and foremost, profitability yung nila. Even Ford withdraw from us because sa Thailand is most advantageous. Maraming Indonesian na nag-i-import ng sasakyan Ford because of their malaki sila din ang agriculture nila, kailangan ng pick-up. So, mga ganong advantages na hindi kailangan na military yung mag-lean towards military side and geopolitical side of the youth.
Nawala ka? O ako nawala?
magsalita.
Okay,
I
okay.
think
Anyway, tahanan, like I've always said, we know that China will be the biggest economy in the future. We don't know if it's going to take 10 more years or maybe 15 or maybe 20. It's inevitable because nakikita mga natin talaga yung US economy is dwindling and we know it's a fact na talaga namang nagkaaganyan. So, ang sinasabi ko, as always, katulad nung pagpunta nila Mark Lopez at sa ni Tio Moreno sa China, is we need to be able to take advantage and learn how China is an emerging market at hindi lang emerging, it's a market itself. Nakita natin 1.4 billion. Kaya nga nakita natin meron tayong trade imbalance dahil nga tayo is a consumer state. Bili lang tayo ng bili, gamit tayo ng gamit at wala tayong magawa. And it's happening also now in the US, na? Kasi nga dahil sa dami ng produkto nila, they're just bumunting sa bahay dito sa ballpen, sa lapis, sa kung ano-ano, pera lang sa gamot, pera lang sa libro, pero TV and everything else is all China made. And that's happening in the whole wide world, di ba? Ngayon, the question itself is this. China owns 1.3 trillion 2 years ago. Now, it's about 1.6 trillion dito sa US. Okay? In fact, there's this called what we call a Travis Air Force Base. Anong problema nitong Travis Air Force Base? Napakalaki nito. Dito ang landing stage or stage na ginagamit papunta sa all the other bases in the US and back to Japan, Korea, and Pilipinas. Yung Travis, pupunta yan sa Clark, pupunta yan sa Misawa Air Force Base, lilipad yan sa Hicam, lilipad yan sa kung saan-saan, that Travis Air Force Base. You know what's preventing Travis Air Force Base na right now kung bakit nagkakagulo? The properties in and around the Travis Air Force Base are owned by the Chinese. Kaya ang proposal ni Haley, which is a candidate for the Republican, lumalaban siya kay Trump, is why do they allow Chinese people to buy land within the vicinity of military facilities? Yun ang kinakatakot nila. But then again, nandito tayo sa BRICS na nilang sinasabi. BRICS, yan na, de-dollarization, so and so. Okay? It may happen soon. At ang sinasabi ko, when China is in power, at ginawa tayong province of China, will we be a second-rate citizen or second-class citizens of China, or will we be just Philippines at itself? Sana yun lang, Philippines lang tayo, and China is the number one power, and Russia will be the one this time to go after China. Dahil siyempre, bagsak ng US, it's already 2049, meron ng 1,500 ICBMs ang China at si Biden, pinatalo na ang nagkagulo-gulo ang US. Okay, so we have to look at the reality. So, but just the same, ang sa akin, the pivot to China, ang sinisisi ko not Duterte. Ang sinisisi ko ang China because they have the power, they have the money to give everything to the Philippines when say, hey, Pilipinas, Pilipino, putang na, 5,000 years na tayo magkasama rito. Ito nga, ibigay ko sa inyo to. Teka muna, pagbibiling ko nga yung mga kailangan ko na ginagamit ko sa manufacturing dahil kumikita naman kami, we have a 25 trillion economy compared to the US economy na ganito lang, ganyan. Total, pivot to China naman kayo eh. Ibigay ko nga ito sa inyo, mga Pilipino kayo. Tapos yung West Philippine Sea, magkano lang naman kinikita dyan sa mga isda-isda na yan? Sa inyo na lahat yan. Wala na akong pakalam dyan. Ang mahalaga, kami ang number one superpower. Okay? Para sa akin the Chinese authorities, okay? Xi Jinping himself should have said during all those years, okay, pero sabi nga ni Bong, ni Edward, hindi mo na pwedeng dalhin mga Pilipino dahil maliit lang ang kikitain. But there are other things that they could have done. Yung trade imbalance. We're talking about yun, magkano ba yun? Parang if I remember right, 9 trillion ang trade imbalance. No, not 9 trillion. Whatever. Kulang ang trade natin. Marami tayong binibili sa China at naniniwala tayo sa produkto nila at kung ano-ano pa. Pero ang China, ano lang ang binibili nila sa atin. Kaya yan ang sinasabi ko. They failed to buy from us, to shop from us. Ano ba yung mga kailangan nila? Yun nga lang. Ano bang meron tayo? No, wala sila. Sa tao, meron sila. 1.4 billion. Pagkain lang ang wala sila. Pero siguro yung mga gamit nila, meron silang lahat. Kaya napakahirap na sabihin natin na they will be dependent on us. Okay? Yun ang pinaka number one na ano natin. Mahirap nating sabihin they will be dependent on us. Sa US lang, alam natin yan na ganun. So the only thing that they could have done for us is this. Yung railway na sinasabi, hindi na nila pinayaan yung Japanese na magbigay ng mas mababang interest. Nihonjo wakarimasu! Bagas ano, nakalimutan ko yung mura ng Chinese eh. Piausiwa! Di ba? Ganun, hindi. Bibigyan na natin yung railways na Mindanao na yan. Walang interest. So we can actually support the pivot to China para sa akin. Hindi ibig sabihin na tama ako, ha? Sa na-feeling ko lang na sana ang ginawa ni Xi Jinping, nagpasikat siya. Chinese naman, 5,000 years na natin kasama itong mga Pinoyski na to eh. Bigyan na natin yung Mindanao Railway, libre na lang. Para sa atin na sila at baka mamaya eh, total tayo na maghahari eh. Parang yun lang I don't know. That's me. Yun lang. Okay, Jack, Edward, and that's it. Okay, tingnan natin. Ito si Ed, maganda sinasabi nito. Go ahead, Ed.
Yung balance, tsaka ano bakit hindi bumili sa atin ang China? Wala naman silang bibili sa atin kung bumanggat sa atin.
Ayun nga, sinasabi ko, wala silang meron, wala silang kailangan sa atin.
Okay, sama mo Amerika din lahat.
Wala rin silang kailangan.
Wala silang mabibili sa'yo.
So, so, is it possible, Ed, na sana ang ginawa na lang nila, total, marami naman silang pera, hindi nila kailangan ng tao, hindi nila kailangan ng produkto dahil lahat na meron sila at nag-pivot to China naman ang Pilipinas, di sana binigay nilang yung Mindanao Railway as regalo instead of meron pang utang-utang.
Alam ko sila China, na si Duterte is only 6 years. Nakailang lang sila. Hindi naman magbobomba yung basta-basta di ba?
Ayaw nila magtiwala kagad. Imbis na carrot and stick ang ginagawa nila, imbis na puro carrots kagad. Oh, Pinoy! Bigyan namin kayo kagad ng Mindanao Railway. Tapos ang usapan. Walang ganun.
Sa magsyota lang muna kita. Isipin ko muna kung pakakasalan kita. Kasi pinitestingin ko dapat ka pang dali sa akin, di ba? Sa akin kita mo. Kukunin bibig at sa pera China.
Nakita nyo, kaya kami ni Edward nagkakaintindihan eh. Yun ang sinasabi ko sa iba eh. Yeah.
China. Kasi hindi pa sigurado kung
testing. Kaya nag-fail. Yun ang sinasabi ko, hindi because of the Pilipinas din. China did not trust the Filipinos right away dahil nga sa US intervention, US tawag dito, principles, at saka sa US nga yung ties na napakahirap tanggalin sa Pilipinas. Parang ganon. Tama ba ako?
Siguro, it failed because hindi gusto ng China, diba? Kaya lahat naman ng it's human nature na siyempre, bago mong kaibigan, bagong kaibigan mo lang yan, pautakin mo pa ng sakat kagad. Hindi pa. Hindi mo pa subok yan eh.
Ano muna okay, 5,000 muna pautang ko sa inyo. Tingnan natin yung mabayaran mo.
Diba? Tingnan natin, puta. Ganun lang yun.
Yeah.
Building pictures muna dapat yan.
Ayun. Okay, maliwanag ha. Okay. Nakita mo naman yun ang kagandahan dito. Si Edward, lagi kong kausap yan. He knows how I critically criticize yung mga government agencies natin and how I look at the China as a possibility. Pero every time na sinasabi kong let's take advantage, ang ganda ng sagot ni Edward. Cheap wala naman silang ganito, mas malaki ang pasahod sa iba. paanong pupunta ang mga Pilipino doon? Eh, maliit lang ipapasahod. Eh, ang mura ng bilihin. At yun na nga, i-research mo, 1% inflation rate. Sa China, talagang napaka-advantage sa kanila nung ganun. But at the same time, pag tinignan natin yung trade, eh, bili lang tayo ng bili because we are a consumer state. At yun na nga, sabi niya, ano lang mabibili ng China? Mga prutas lang, isa, dalawa. After that, lahat na meron na sila. Pero meron ba silang mga Pinay na mga GRO? just, just kidding. Alright guys, thank you so much at nakaraos na naman ang ating usapan. Sayang yung iba hindi nakarating. At thank you tahanan for joining us. Alam mo naman tayo, alam mo you're one good adversary. Si Woki namin in-invite ko hindi bumating at saka si Bino Reeds. To me, kung magugulat kayo sa akin, sometimes what I say is not what I mean. Talagang nag-i-instigate lang ako. It's katulad ko si Duterte. It's propaganda. Ang dami ko sinasabi diyan na, do I truly believe in what I say on Facebook or Twitter? I'm trying to steer people to actually join para yung mga ibang ano. Katulad niya na kasi talagang kini-question ko yung 2.64 trillion. Pagdating doon sa GDP, binanggit na yan ni Jay, meron tayong 67 or ano, ganyan na ano. Pero yung iba hindi ko mapaliwanag kung bakit kailangang mangutang ng 2.64 to sustain a 5.77 budget. Sino bang gumawa ng budget na yan? Bakit tayo mangailangang utang at bakit tayo magbayad ng utang? Yung iba, ipopronounce sila na nakabayad daw tayo ng utang. Eh, alam naman natin ano lang yung bayad na yan is scheduled payment o hindi natin dapat ipagmalaki. Pero bakit ginagamit yan? Because we were able to pay 1 month ahead of the schedule. Yun ang sinasabi dyan. Kaya yung sinasabi naman nila na yung mga housing kulang, yung ganito, puro optics, optics is there. Kasi nga to sustain yung people support. Okay, ngayon kaya sabi nila yung bakit si SMR nagbibigay ng ayuda, hindi naman niya pera. Hindi ko pa alam kung kaninong pera yung pinamimigay nila. Nung nagpunta sila dyan sa Davao, 130 million, galing daw sa Congress. Is it the fundings ng Congress na yung whatever funds they have, they're giving to Davao City, Davao Region, Davao de Oro, limang region yung binigyan nila eh. So it comes to question whether are they giving out money that is not their own or is it legitimate money given to congressman? Do they have these budgets, MOOs, that part of aid of legislation? Those are the questions we should ask. Eh, hindi ko alam ang lahat ng kasagutan. Kaya kung minsan, nagpapakatanga ako para lang lumabas ang tunay. Yun lang. Maraming salamat, Buxi, Tahanan, at saka oh, teka, humihirit si Pro, you will be the last one, ha? Bira ka lang sumali dito sa I'll give you the mic and then we are going off air. Okay? Si Pro, nasa ba yan? Alam mo naman, bira alang magsalita rito. So we'll give it to you and then we'll uwi na. Okay, go ahead, Proy.
Chip, real talk lang. $120,000.
Uy, ano yan?
Sa Chinese dito, may naghahanap.
120. Ang laki naman. Ganyan na ba? Ganyan na ba ngayon ang ganyan na ba ang bayaran ngayon sa mga marriage for convenience? Dati $10,000 lang ah. Okay. Eh, kung maganda, kung kasing ganda, eh, di-divorce ko muna tong misis ko uli. At saka papakasalan ko yan. 120. Napakalaki naman yan dahil alam ko yung mga kalakaran sa LA, sa San Francisco. Looking at 10,000, mga ganyan-ganyan. But I guess 90s, yung huling narinig ko. So, ano na pala, no? Wow. Ganyan nakalaki. That's impossible. Wow, that's I finally wow, hindi ko makapaniwalaan yan. Napakalaki dahil saan nila kukunin ng 120,000? They must really be rich or wealthy or something.
60-20.
Wow. Pero di baka kamag-anak sino yun yung si Jack Ma. Baka mga anak niya na gusto nang pumunta sa US or something dahil sa dami ng pera nila, they might as well pay 100. Pero ang daming Chinese naman ah. Oo, baka yun ang papakasalan nila, yung mga fellow Chinese. Okay, so guys, Good evening, thank you, Bong, Proy, Buxi, Tahanan, Edward, LB. Yung isa si Dipang umalis na kanina at si Bulabu, Farmpress, Tekla, Cardo. At yung mga 3 other and 4 other listeners, Cardo 22, Teklara, Adobo, si Adobo, ngayon ko lang nakita uli ito. Maraming salamat at yung umalis na sa Tuesday, hindi natin alam kung anong pag-uusapan. What will happen dito sa Cebu Prayer Rally. Alamangan natin sa Sunday. Maraming salamat and good evening at salamat uli sa pakikinig at pakikisali dito sa Town Hall. At ito na, alas 9 na, alam mo natatawag na si Mrs. eh. Oh, inayos mo na ba yung hinigan mo dyan? Tapos na ba yung space mo? Oh, magluto ka na. Ayan ang mga ano ng Mrs. ko. All right, good night.